reaching for a distant star. Don't stop now. Isn't it strange how we're safe and home? Together counting days until a second cloud. It's gonna make a change, you have to let me know. Turn the shit around, start it up the lungs. It's all you need to know. thought that we'd go this far. Don't stop now. Reaching for a distant star. Don't stop now. Isn't it strange how we're safe and home? Together counting days until the second cloud. It's gonna make a change, you have to let me know. Turn the shit around, without a doubt the yells. It's all you need to do.
What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another Good Morning Tottenham. And look, we've got a very new guest on the show.
Exactly.
Back from the dead. How
Back
we
with a
doing,
bang.
Sim?
Back with yeah, I'm good. I'm fine. I was just isolating for a week, no big deal. I'm now back in action. I'm ready to go. And they needed me while I've been away. Exactly. That's how it is. Spurs have needed my input.
Yeah, definitely. Quite a bit to talk about this morning. Let's start off with the game yesterday. Obviously, we won 3-1 at home to Morecambe in the third round of the FA Cup. A very lackluster display from the boys yesterday. It was just shocking, wasn't it? I mean, we hardly laid a glove on Morecambe for pretty much the whole game up until the big guns had to come on. Shocking performances all over the park. I mean, I guess let's start off with the positives because there were a couple of good performances out there. I mean, in terms of our good performances, I felt that Winks, Davis, and Sessegnon were probably our brightest sparks yesterday.
Yeah, I think we struggled big time to break down Morecambe. Clearly, the players in the team who weren't regularly playing struggled to find any sort of rhythm. It's no surprise our best players were Davis and Winks, who've been getting them out of the players in that team, have been probably getting the most game time for the first team. So that was no surprise to me that they were the best players. But we badly, through central areas especially, struggled to break down a very poor, well, might I say, Morecambe side as well, who are not doing very well in League One at the moment. They forced us to go out wide, where we had big lack of quality, especially on the right-hand side. Actually, to be fair, I thought Sessegnon was all right, especially when he was able to threaten down the left, even and on the right. He was on both sides. He was decent.
I felt like both of them were actually on, but Doherty and Sessegnon were both getting in good positions time and time again, and both of them had a bit of a lack of quality in the final product.
Yeah, I think I saw a bit more quality in Sessegnon than I did in Doherty. But Doherty, you're right. They were both getting good positions, even in the second half when they were both inverted. I thought they were both still actually threatening, but they weren't really creating any chances. I think one player who's actually gone under the radar, who actually had a decent game, not an amazing game, was Lo Celso. I actually thought he was all right. I actually thought he was all right yesterday. I don't think he was as bad as a lot of people. I wouldn't put him in the same category as Ndombele in terms of his performance yesterday.
I agree with that. And I think with Lo Celso, I thought he started the game quite rusty. But he grew into the game as the game wore on. I mean, in the beginning stages of the game, he was taking pop shots that was just strolling to the keeper, and he was like picking them up, routine saves from him. And then as the game wore on, he was getting a bit more creative. He was taking better shots on goal as well, and then grabbed himself an assist as well.
It was very similar. I remember, I can't remember which game it was. I think it was in the Conference League earlier in the season. He was having like a shocking game, and then we made some subs, brought on some of the first teamers, and he was like a new player. Can't remember what game that was, but it's a very similar situation yesterday, I felt.
Wasn't that the Pacos game, maybe?
Maybe, but I felt like yesterday was a similar situation. He wasn't having the best of games, although he had the most tackles on the pitch and he had creating the most chances on the pitch. But
created 6 chances yesterday, didn't he?
Yeah. And then once Lucas and Kane came on, he became a lot more alive, and all of a sudden he was picking up positions, taking a lot more dangerous shots. Got obviously, as you say, got the assist. So I actually think he wasn't so bad yesterday, Giovanni Lo Celso. So I've seen him getting a lot of shit online for some reason. I don't know why. So I don't know. I thought he was okay. And Winks, as you say. He claims he meant the goal. Do you believe him?
I know. And like,
do you watch it? Do you see his interview?
I didn't see the interview, but I heard about what he said. And cast your mind back to last year when he scored that goal from the halfway line. He clearly said after the game, "Oh, that was just a bit of fluke. I didn't mean it." And then in this one, he goes, "He did mean it."
Yeah.
I mean, straight away, obviously, everyone's reaction was like it's a complete fluke. But if he meant it, fair play to him, man.
It's one of those where he said he's aiming for the far post, and if it goes in, it's a good goal. But if it's under hit, then it can it's still got a chance of being a decent cross.
That's what Sonny said when his cross went all the way through against Watford. He said exactly the same thing.
So to be fair, it was good technique on it, a lot of whip, a lot of power. So it was a good effort, whether he meant it or not. And ended up in the back of the net. That's the most important thing. And I think Winks was definitely our most dangerous passer again. Definitely our brightest spark, and he seems intent in grabbing that opportunity and making sure he's going to be part of this team going forward. I think a lot of people have questioned whether his heart's really in it or whether his guy's going to develop. Like he's 25 now, is he?
Yeah, 25.
Yeah, so he needs to start really stepping up now if he's going to be a proper player for Tottenham.
Yeah.
But look, early signs are good. Still, a lot of football to be played, and he still needs to break into that team. And at the moment, I think I would start him over one of Højbjerg. Skip probably Højbjerg at the moment. I'll definitely look at starting him regularly because whenever he plays, he seems to be the brightest player at the moment.
You know what impressed me with Winks yesterday was actually his set pieces. I felt with his corners were really good yesterday. And there was that one corner where, could have been disguised as like a bad corner. He went for the front post. Dele Alli made a really nice run, and then it was like a back hill. But I thought Winks' delivery time and time again yesterday was spot on. Absolutely spot on. And yeah, good for him.
We know he has a good pass. He has good accuracy. We know that.
I don't think I've ever seen him take corners before. Before yesterday. I mean, you had him on one side, you had Gio on the other side, and his corners were so much better than just Gio's. I felt yesterday.
I thought Gio's corners weren't terrible.
Oh, there were some of them that were just hitting the first man, and they were just awful. I mean, there was one or two that were good in there from Gio, but ultimately, I thought.
But there's a problem. I don't know what it is. We obviously, as Tottenham fans, we focus on Tottenham. So whenever we see a corner hit the first man, we're like, "Oh, that's a terrible corner." But I remember reading an article. I can't remember who it was from. I think it was from the Athletic, saying there's like an epidemic of corners that hit the first man just across the whole Premier League.
Yeah, starting with Christian Eriksen.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not just a Tottenham problem. It's like it's a weird thing where Premier League players have struggled a lot. I don't know if they're struggling or it's a plan, but a lot of them hit the first man at a corner. And I don't know what it is. It's very strange. It's a strange thing.
I've been noticing it for a long time. I mean, I don't know really much about, but look, like while I'm talking about Christian Eriksen, literally every single corner used to hit the first man. Lamela used to have good corners. I mean, his ones were always pinged in. But look, Winks' corners yesterday I thought were brilliant. I thought he was putting them on a plate, putting them in really dangerous areas. So good for Winks, man. He's grabbing his chance time and time again. Every time he's played under Conte, he's had a really good game. So.
He's starting to take more shots as well. He took a shot from 25 yards. He's starting to actually do things to hurt the back four, which is what we've been complaining about for so long. Winks, where he's just a sideways pass and not too threatening. But actually, he's starting to add things to his game, which we always hoped. So, look, that was a positive. Defensive-wise, look, they had the corner and they had a few counters, Morecambe, but we didn't, let's be honest, they didn't really do much. You can't really judge. Although, as much as they didn't do much, still, I thought, we'll go into the negatives in a minute. But stick on to positives one more second. So, yeah, that's it. So, Sessegnon, I was happy with as well. He was a threat down the left. He was using his pace, and I thought it was really good. He looked confident. Only thing is, he inverted it in the second half. I'm not quite sure it worked that well. Although they still were still pretty threatening, but they weren't. I don't think it improved them, inverting them.
Yeah,
probably the same.
I would agree with that. It was probably more of the same, to be honest. I mean, it didn't change much. But what I want to say, Matt Doherty. Matt Doherty also coming under a lot of stick for his performance yesterday, and I don't actually think it was as bad as people are saying. I mean, he was getting up and down the pitch quite well. He was getting in good positions. Yes, his quality was left wanting most time, but like Sessegnon's was as well. But it felt like they were targeting him from crosses every single time. The corners were always landing for him, and he hit the post, and with a bit of end product there, you're probably talking about a really good Doherty performance yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I think Doherty actually has shown improvements since Conte's come in. I still don't think he's been anything like the Doherty we saw at Wolves or anything like a player who we need in this squad or want starting. But I think it would be stupid not to acknowledge that definitely since Conte's come in, he's played much better. He looks a lot more assured. He looks a lot more. He's getting into a lot more threatening positions, which he just wasn't able to before, it seemed. And when he does get there, the quality is still lacking, but he's still showing a bit more quality than he did before Conte. So that's good. Hopefully that's more in a view of us getting some money for him, because I still don't think he's good enough. But yeah, in terms of yesterday, I don't think there was not too much wrong with what he did. I still think he showed a bit of a lack of quality, but he wasn't by any stretch one of the reasons why we were not winning or anything like that.
Exactly. Yeah. But like you say, he's definitely one that needs to go out the door pretty soon. One last positive, actually, that I want to talk about is obviously the big guns coming on. I don't even know if that's a positive or a negative. But,
yeah, it probably goes down to a negative that we needed them to come on. But
yeah, but the big guns come on. Lucas Moura was brilliant, I thought, and obviously Harry Kane sealed it off right at the end. But Lucas Moura, I mean, he came on and straight away, I mean, he showed what needed to be done against this team, picking up the ball, driving at the defence, capitalising on mistakes from them as well. So, yeah, another strong display from Lucas Moura.
Yeah, I thought he was great. I thought he was brilliant. Coming on, he completely took the game to them, and he pretty much forced the issue. I actually thought Kane was really good, actually, when he came on as well. I thought he was really difficult to deal with. They both got the goal. They both got a goal each, and they were both really, really strong showing. Conte, I think, must have been frustrated that he had to bring him on, but needs must. You're 1-0 down to a League Two side with 20 minutes to go. Like, you just got to make sure you get through, and that's what we did yesterday. I feel like if this was like in years gone by, people would have said, it was one of those cup ties where we rested 10 players and we just got the job done in the end, and it was no big deal. But because of just how things are going with Tottenham and how the last few games in terms of, Watford, Southampton, Chelsea, and now yesterday, just a lack of chances. Yeah, that's the thing. Just a serious lack of chances created. So that narrative is very strong at the moment that we're really lacking creativity, and how reliant we are on the likes of Kane and so on was so evident yesterday. Kane and Lucas.
At the end of the day, we're through to the next round. We had some shots on goal, as opposed to some other team in North London. Exactly,
and that's the most important thing. We're into the next round.
But let's talk about the negatives now, and there were a lot of them. Let's talk. Where do we start?
We'll talk about Ndombele. We got.
First of all, on Ndombele. That was probably Harry Kane's best moment of the game, shouting at him as he was going on.
Yeah, 100%. We'll talk about his future a bit later on, but in terms of, if you just we'll just talk based on this game. First of all, I thought he was horrific, just in general. I thought his passing was wayward. He was sloppy. I don't know. In terms of like work ethic off the ball, I didn't take too much notice of that because we had so much of the ball anyway. It's not like I don't remember too many times he was like being aggressive or anything.
I actually felt in the opening minutes, in the first 10-20 minutes, I thought he was up for it, and I thought he was actually trying really hard and running and stuff like that. But then as soon as things started not to go his way, he started losing the ball. Ball started bouncing off him. Every time he tried to take it past the man, he was losing the ball. And then his kind of confidence in the game just waned until it hit rock bottom, and it was just an awful performance.
Yeah, and I thought actually at the beginning, yeah, I agree. As I said, like in terms of his off the ball, I'm not going to judge him on that because we had so much of the ball. Like I don't know, I can't really tell if he was doing his job off the ball because he didn't have that much to do. Yeah. But in terms of on the ball, he looked at the start. I thought he was trying things. He looked like the guy who was gonna break down Morecambe and play quick passing. And I think he was trying to play some football. And maybe he was. I don't know what. Maybe he was getting frustrated with players around him or something. But his passing as the game wore on was deteriorating rapidly and really badly. He was doing this, but his moments he became very similar to like how Dele gets, like when he's really frustrating. Like he's very easy to dispossess. He's not hanging onto the ball. He's just giving it away in silly areas. His passing wasn't accurate. I thought he was by the time he went off, he was a bit of a shambles, I felt, to be honest. I don't remember any points, really, even in the beginning where he was like in and around the penalty area trying to pick the lock. He was more deeper. Maybe that was his role. That he was probably told to do that because, we had... No, to be honest, no, he would have been further forward. He should have been. That was his role yesterday, wasn't it? He was in the front three.
Well, yeah, he was.
Or supposed to be.
I don't even know.
Or no, actually, to be honest, I think we were 5-3-2 yesterday.
I think it was Dele
and Hill.
Dale up front.
So with Gio and Ndombele.
Gio, I felt Gio was a bit more further forward than him yesterday.
I think they probably took it in turns. But I felt like he was trying these quick one-touch passes. He wasn't, even when he had space to like take a touch and just control things, he would just try and lay it off first time, and more often than not it would go wayward, and it was really frustrating. He was getting frustrated. I think the team were getting frustrated with him as well. And then obviously the whole substitution debacle.
I mean, it all came to a head then, didn't it? I mean, did you see the clip of all those players looking? I mean, Dyer is looking at him like he wants to kill him.
I think maybe it's becoming a bad situation. I'm worried it's becoming a bad situation in the dressing room. Everyone said, I particularly said in the summer, I thought potentially, Sissoko and Aurier leaving in the summer, having some of his real close friends leave might help him. But maybe it's had the opposite effect.
It seems as though it has had the well, I don't know, man. If it's had
because last season he was definitely more integrated with the team, and he was getting a lot more playing time. And now we barely see him. When we do see him, he barely lasts an hour. Yesterday, I don't know. He just seems to have. He doesn't seem to have many friends, except for Sonny, who seems to be laughing, joking with all the time. But Son's friends with everyone. He doesn't seem like no one seems to be wanting to part with him. But anyway, look, we'll talk about his future in a sec. But I thought his substitution, the way he trudged off like that, 1-0 down, had to be told twice by Tanganga and Kane to hurry up and get off the pitch because we're losing with not that long to go. It was a horrible look, and I think a lot of the fans who were booing yesterday. Most times I don't, but in that situation, I think he was being a dick, Ndombele, and apparently, he was slowing down the more they booed as well. Yeah. So he's making a point of it. I think Brian.
Just that, there's a triple substitution. You've got Dele, whose numbers come up first, and he runs off, and even Dele's running off. And then you got him who's walking off, and then Brian Hill who sprints past him to come off.
Yeah,
it's just ridiculous, man.
No, that's not good. It's not good. Not good enough.
Well, I think it was we were drawing or losing it. We were losing at the time.
Yeah, losing
1-0, and he's walking off like we're winning 5-0. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke.
No, it was pretty disgraceful. I don't know if it's on the level of Granit Xhaka. I think Brian's compared to the Xhaka incident, but it's still pretty bad. And he needs a lot of redemption if he's going to come back from that.
George last night in the fan cam related it to Hossam Ghali's moment against when Martin Yol.
I wouldn't say it's as bad as that. Because I still think if Ndombele, if he's still here by the end of the window and he plays, there is a route back for Ndombele. There was no route back for Ghali.
I don't think he's talking about in terms of the actual action. I think he's talking about from the view inside the stands and what it actually felt like.
Oh yeah, I bet potentially
because he was there at the game.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, all right. But I think with Ghali, look, I think Ndombele is going to have to put up if he does stay. He's going to have to put up with a lot of shit. But from fans and stuff before he proves himself, and that's what Conte was saying after the game. But let's move on from Ndombele because we're going to go into him in a sec about his future.
In terms of some other negatives, I mean, Dele Alli played up front yesterday, but just not his position, is it? I mean,
I thought they both struggled.
They both did struggle, but I felt we'll talk about Dele and then we'll get on to Hill. But Dele, I actually thought he was trying yesterday. I thought he put the effort in, but it's just not his position. It just wasn't coming off for him, and just not a good performance again from Dele Alli. What did you think of how he completed?
Yeah, I mean, I felt bad for him. He's not a striker. We played him up front. He struggled badly to really influence the game. He didn't really. There were a couple of times I can remember he was able to make a clever run and get beyond the back line, but he just didn't have the pace or the strength to hold off a defender and actually impact the game. And I don't think he was not giving his best, but I think he was played in the wrong position. And I also think he still even if he was giving his best, he still didn't play well. So it's not like I saw some nice touches or anything from him. He was anonymous pretty much throughout the game, and we needed a presence up there. We had no presence whatsoever. It was very easy for Morecambe this is to have very physical defenders just bully him out the game basically. And Brian Hill, they're both completely bullied out the game. We weren't able to get them in the game whatsoever. I think Dele, the only way he would have influenced it was if he was able to come a bit deeper. He wasn't able to do that. Because maybe if he came deeper, we'd have no one up front because we'd have a sub striker. So yeah, it was poor from Delhi, but I would say more because of his position than it was because of any sort of attitude problem.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And on the other side, Brian Hill, his partner for the day, I thought that he started the game really well. You know, the effort was there, the desire was there, the energy that you always know you're going to get with Brian Hill was there. And in the first half, I thought he was causing Morecambe a few problems, but again, not his natural position, looked uncomfortable in that position. And in the second half, he kind of waned out the game as well. I thought he didn't really influence anything in that second half.
Yeah. I think he's just developing, you know. He's still young. You got to remember this kid, Brian. I think, look, a lot of people had a lot of expectation, I think, from Brian Hill when he first came, like in the summer. But you got to remember, he hasn't even done anything yet, even like in Spain. You know, I know he had a decent loan spell last year. But again, he was a teenager playing for a team relegated, and he did a few bits and pieces. But it's not like this is a guy who is ready to come in and really affect things. Like I don't understand I understand he had a good one against Chelsea and he put in a cross and we nearly scored from it. But I don't understand these people who were saying, "Oh, Son's injury." I don't know if it was on the fan show or I was just talking to someone, but. They will say, I remember someone said, "Oh, you know, Son's injured, but I don't mind so much because maybe Hill can get more game time and we're going to see more of Hill." I like Hill. Don't get me wrong. I think he's could grow into a good player, but right now he's just not ready. He's not ready to really impact games in a proper way. I'm sorry, he's just not. I don't think he's a bad player by any stretch, and this isn't an indictment on Hill. I just don't think physically or as a player who I know we signed for decent money. But I don't think he's ready to come in, and even if he gave him a run in the team, he would start getting goals and assists on a regular. I don't think he's at that level yet. I think he's still developing into his body. He's still developing as a young player. You know, this guy wasn't a regular for Seville or anything. He played a few times. He was still like an up and coming player for Seville. So we got to give this guy time. We can't put too much expectation on him. Obviously, I think he should be getting some game time. I'm not saying never play him, but to think he's going to come in and do anything in place of Son would be putting too much expectation on him right now. I just think he's a young. I think you should treat him just like a youth development player. He's a young up and coming player who's definitely going to break into the first team at some point. I'm confident of that. I think right now. He's just like a player, a young up and coming player who's still developing. So I think people maybe expect too much from him.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I feel like if our squad was in a better place, he would probably be one that we could potentially loan out. Right now, because we've got such bare bones at the moment, we can't afford to.
Yeah.
But I think for the good of his career and for the good of his bringing him through and everything like that. I think a loan move is probably what's best for him.
I agree. I think if he was playing week in week out in a Premier League team, sorry, then he would come back a much better player.
Yeah, even if he was fighting at the top end of the Championship, I think it would be a good move for him. Obviously, Premier League would be more ideal, obviously, but I think that either or, to be honest. And another player.
I'm sorry, just going back. Clearly, even in his short spurts, he's shown quality for Tottenham. I'm not saying this guy doesn't have quality. I'm confident in that. I just think people expecting him to come in regularly, anyone getting excited about seeing more of Hill because if that Son's injured, I think is going to be left disappointed.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And another player who probably needs a loan move right now in Japhet Tanganga. 2 games now, and at fault for goals. Yesterday he lost his man at the corner. He just got spun, didn't he, by that Morecambe defender. It
wasn't even clever. I was watching it. It wasn't even clever movement. He didn't get spun. The guy just. I don't know what it was.
He just moved away from him.
Tanganga
failed to track him.
Yeah, but it wasn't like it was a clever movement or anything. Yeah. Just Tanganga took his eye off the ball. I think for a split second he lost concentration and it was easy.
And Tanganga yesterday, I thought he looked nervy on the ball, uncomfortable on the ball. Obviously that happens with the goal. But I think after that he did slightly grow into the game. But when these moments keep coming in your game, I mean, something needs to happen with Tanganga. He needs regular game time and he needs to go out on loan to further his development because it's just not working at the moment with Jaff.
Yeah, I think he looked shaky as well on the ball. A few times he was looking a bit nervy yesterday. And yeah, it's a bit of a theme at the moment after what was a really shaky performance against Chelsea, to say the least. Although,
I felt like it's been like this since that Man City game, pretty much.
what I would say about the performance against Chelsea is he did make 2 mistakes, but what I noticed was he actually grew a bit of confidence in himself and he didn't let the mistakes get to him in that second half, and I actually thought he had a pretty good second half performance. But again, unfortunately, came back against Morecambe, and you need him to in these kind of games. I know he's young, but you need him to be dominant, to be dominating in these kind of teams and strikers, and he didn't seem to do that. He just seemed shaky. He seemed he didn't have too much to do, but what he did have to do, he didn't do too well, Tangang, and I definitely could see him. He could definitely do with a loan, I think we should have sent him on loan to Fenerbahce in the summer. Would have done good, I reckon.
Yeah. Can we afford to put him out on loan?
Not now, unless we get someone in.
Yeah.
But his partner as well, I don't think
Joe
had a
Rodon.
particularly great game either.
Joe Rodon, to me, looked really uncomfortable. I mean, I read after the game that he was playing with an injury, with a rib injury, and I think that really, hampered him on the pitch yesterday.
Maybe that was it, because there were a few times where it wasn't just that he looked uncomfortable, but he was looking frustrated. But I don't know. I don't know if it was a couple of times. I felt in the first half there was a ball going. He was running towards his own box, and he plays a weak back pass to Galini, and Galini has to mop up his sloppy pass, and then he looks really like feeling sorry for himself. But I wasn't sure if he looked like frustrated and angry, but I wasn't sure if he was frustrated, angry himself or Galini. And then second half, a similar thing happened. Another ball over the top. He's like shielding it to Galini. Galini didn't come, and then I thought he could have easily either passed it off or put it out for a throw, but he puts it out for a corner with a poor clearance, I felt. And again, he was looking frustrated, and he was like, "What's going on?" and angry. But
is that when they scored from that corner?
Potentially, actually, it might have been.
I think they did.
That might have been.
Rodon and Galini got in a bit of a mix-up for the corner that they conceded from.
Yes, it must have been that. Yeah, it must have been that. So, again, Rodon was looking frustrated and angry, but I don't know if it was himself or was it Galini again. I think maybe more of a Galini. But
I think he was just getting really frustrated, and the injury obviously didn't help and hampered him a lot. And I just felt he just looked really uncomfortable throughout the game, to be honest.
Yeah. So look, I didn't know I know he was injured. I didn't know he was playing with an injury before. Yeah. I thought he must have recovered. So if that's the case, I don't want to judge him too harshly.
Ali Gold confirmed it, I think, this morning.
Then fair enough. Then I guess I don't want to say, like, I'm not going to say he had a shocker then, but he just didn't look particularly comfortable throughout the game, I would say. If that's the case, he's playing with an injury.
All right, look, at the end of the day, we are through into the next round. We got Brighton in the 4th round, which is a fairly good draw. I mean, we're going to have to play more of a stronger team than we did play against Morecambe yesterday. But it's a tie where you think that you still probably expect us to go through.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, very much depends what kind of games we have around that time and what kind of form we're in. There's still a lot of games we played.
It's the 2nd or 3rd of February is the game.
So just after international break, is it? Or?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, look, Brighton are a good team. They're not going to be easy. It's going to be a good cup tie, but I still have us as favourites, especially if we've got Son back and any new signings through the door. So I'm looking forward to it. I think, I mean...
Yeah, signings through the door that aren't cup tied.
Yeah, I hope so. Hopefully we have some sort of signing at the time that FA Cup tie is being played, but they're not going to be easy. But at least we're at home. It's gonna, it's gonna be. Hopefully it'll be one of the headline games on that weekend, and I think it should be a good cup tie. I mean, Brighton are a good team, but then in terms of being a cup team, like, they're so poor going forward. Like, cup games are usually very attacking, very open, and that could definitely play into our hands, I think, in this kind of game, where, Brighton is a draw specialist, but a draw doesn't help you in a cup, does it?
No, it does not. And look, I think it's a good draw for us. I mean, I was hoping for Bournemouth or Kidderminster or something like that, but I'm hopeful to go through. I am hopeful to go through. But that, I think, is our match review. And let's move on to some transfer talk now. And let's start off with Tanguy Ndombele. Obviously, after yesterday, There's a lot of talk about his future. To be honest, there's been a lot of future talk about his future before yesterday. But let me just read through some of the headlines from some of the reliable sources that have been talking about him since the game yesterday. Charlie Eccleshare says Ndombele is hopeful of a move away from Tottenham this month. Romano says that Tottenham are looking for a solution to sell or loan out Tanguy Ndombele in January. Spurs are also open to discuss swap deals, including Ndombele as part of the negotiation. Our Eccleshare also followed on from that, what I mentioned before, saying there has been zero concrete interest in Ndombele this window, with the player setting his sights on a big Champions League club. Sky Sports this morning said that Tottenham have held talks over the departure for Tanguy Ndombele. Talks understood to include Spanish and Italian clubs took place before his reaction after being subbed yesterday. And there's been some recent on Dan Kilpatrick in the last 15 minutes saying sources close to Tanguy acknowledge that he may have to leave Spurs this month, but Spurs conscious that many obstacles in front of the deal. And then he goes on to say sources close to Ndombele,
Sources close to Ndombele said he was expressing disappointment at the scoreline, which is why he was trudging off.
Oh, I don't have that one here, but... Okay.
Oh, I don't. What
it says that while insisting that he's still happy and determined to fight for his place, people close to Ndombele still feel he needs to move on this window. So that's the updates I got here. I'm just reading the article. It says. Oh, yeah. I see.
It says sources close to Ndombele said he was expressing disappointment at the scoreline, which is why he was.
If you're that disappointed in the scoreline...
Well, that's why he went straight down the tunnel, apparently.
Yeah, okay, I don't care about him going straight down the tunnel. He came out after his shower and sat with the team after that. But like, how many times did we see it last year with Jose Mourinho? He told them straight away, go down for a shower straight after they got subbed. That bit I don't have too much problems with. It's taking 10 years to get off the pitch is what really got me yesterday. And it's just disgraceful when you're losing 1-0 with 20 minutes to go. Get yourself off the pitch. Get the other player on. Let's win this game.
In terms of all this talk about, obviously, there's been all this talk in the summer, wasn't there, about him leaving and whatnot. He ended up staying because I think it's more because we didn't get the offers. That's probably why he ended up staying. We face the same challenges this January, sorry. If he's waiting for a big Champions League club, we want some sort of fee. Look, I think we'd probably acknowledge, I think Spurs I think in the summer, they'll probably still looking to recoup at least about 50 million or 45 million. I think that's probably gone down to like 30 million at this point.
Goes down like 15 million every window now.
I would say they're probably looking at like 30 million, 35 million this January if they're going to look to recoup any sort of fee. But I get it, but the problem isn't even in the fee, it's more his wages, 200 grand a week that we pay him. And it's not just that, it's like he's the kind of player who he's like the least player you want on those sort of wages, because like even say if Højbjerg, right, was on like 200 grand a week, he's not the most gifted player, but at least if you have him in your team, he's going to give 100% on, and he's not going to, I know it was maybe against Chelsea, but generally he's not going to be like, he's a player you can probably rely on to be in the team, like Ndombele. Like, you could pay this guy 200 grand a week and he can be completely anonymous, you won't even know he's there. And that's a big issue when clubs are looking at him and trying to sign him, or thinking about signing him. Those wages are going to be a massive stumbling block. So I mean, I don't know if it's going to be possible again. I think we've put ourselves into a corner. I don't think we're the only team to have done this to ourselves in the Premier League. I think we've seen other teams who are just stuck with players because they spend too much on them, they pay them too much, and they can't get rid of them. We've seen it with other players, other clubs, and now I think it's a situation in Tottenham where either we really lower the fee like exponentially, like something that people have to take a punt on, like 15 million or something, like really cheap, and pay like a portion of his wages or something like that, or it's a loan deal, which try before you buy kind of thing, which maybe he kills it, or he has to stick around. I don't know if he's got. I honestly don't know if it's going to be possible for him to leave unless it's going to be a loan deal this January. Yeah,
I mean, his contract ends in 2025.
Yeah, he signed a long contract. He signed a long contract when he signed. So.
2025 his contract ends, and I mean, it's it's a bad situation we're in, and like when you've got someone like that who's got all the quality in the world, literally all the quality in the world, he could be one of the best midfielders in the world if he wanted to be. Literally, that's how good he is. His quality is. When you've got someone that good and like he's just not putting a shift in, it's gonna cause unrest in the dressing room. I believe. I really believe that, and it's such a tricky situation now. We have to get him out at all costs, in my opinion. Literally all costs.
Just get him out.
We have to.
Give him on a free.
Pretty much. We have to get I think the wages off the books are actually more valuable than the transfer money coming in. Because, you've got all these wages till 2025. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
A lot of money. And, the transfer fee fine is fair enough. You can get up to 30 million. I can't see us getting more than 30 million. But that 200 grand a week for till 2025 is bigger for me than the actual transfer fee.
Yeah, I would seriously consider a loan move if someone comes in through this January with an option to buy.
I mean, there's reports that Jose wants him at Roma. Fabrizio was saying yesterday. I mean, they've got other targets they're going for before him. I think they're talking about Sergio Oliveira or someone like that. But I think actually would be a good move for him because actually Mourinho's probably got the best tune out of everyone.
Yeah, he did. If I was Ndombele, I'd try and go to a team who likes to play attacking football and who's going to have possession and stuff like that. Someone who's more more suited to how he plays. Because, I feel like Mourinho and Conte, two very defense first kind of managers. Maybe he's not the best suited to his kind of style, but.
Ship him off to Newcastle.
I don't know. Again, with Ndombele, I just feel like his friends left. I don't know, this summer. I thought might give him a kick up the arse, but it just seems as though he's been more disillusioned by the whole situation. And I don't know, every article keeps saying he's happy here and he wants to fight for his place, but we're not seeing it.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, though, I think in the last couple of games against Liverpool, he had a fairly good game.
Yeah.
I mean, not an amazing game, but a fairly good game. And I think second half, when he came on against Chelsea last week, he was probably one of our better players as well.
Yeah, he was okay. I wanted him to get more involved in the game. I didn't think he was involved enough in the second half.
Still one of the better players for us, though.
Yeah, but that's more just about how poor we were than him. I don't think he was particularly great. I just think... I find it very difficult to see a route out of the situation right now without him getting time on the pitch to prove either a buyer that he's worth buying or to prove that he's worth getting more minutes on the first team pitch at the moment.
Yes.
So I just feel like as well in terms of what happened yesterday on the bench. I don't think it's the last we've seen in Ndombele in a Spurs shirt. I think we'll see him again. And I think the next time we see him, he's probably going to get some aggravation from the Tottenham fans. But it's up to him to prove us wrong at this point. And it's all on Ndombele. It rests on his shoulders because he's got it in him. He's got it in him. But at the moment...
There's only one way to change what the fans think about you.
That's what Conte was saying. That's what Conte was saying.
Yeah, exactly what Conte was saying. You need to change the way you do it on the pitch. But what better game to do it than the North London derby?
Oh, he's not going to start.
No, but he can come on.
Yeah, but he won't start.
I'm not saying he's going to start, but he can come on and he can do something because that's what quality he has.
If he smashes it out next week, then it was all is forgiven. That's for sure. But I remember his last North London derby performance. That was absolutely shambles. Well, his last two, actually.
Yeah, he's never performed well in the North London derby.
He's been shambles both times.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Both of them were away from home, weren't they? Both of them were at the Emirates.
Yeah, it's just... He's just such an enigma. No one can really work him out, and that's the most annoying thing at the moment for Tongi. And he seems to be as well thinking about himself a lot all the time. Like Conte keeps saying, you'd have to put the team first. You have to think about the team. That's the most important thing. But I don't know. No manager's able to work him out at the moment, and. That's going to be the biggest stumbling block if we're going to ever see the best of Ndombele. Do you think he gets his move this Jan? Any sort of move, a loan or anything? Or do you think he's going to be here by the end of the window?
I think we're going to try hard, but ultimately I think he's going to be here by the end of the window. I really genuinely believe that. I mean, as much as I would like to sit here and say, a team are going to come in for him and we can get a deal done. I just can't see it, to be honest. I can't see a team apart from potentially a Roma coming in for him. Because I know Jose Mourinho, I mean, he saw him firsthand and knows what quality he has. He got a tune out of him. But I don't know, man. It's going to be difficult to get a deal done. It really will be.
Miguel Delaney has just tweeted, he works for Independent, he says Tottenham may reassess their transfer policy on selling to buy, as there are currently no takers for Ndombele and Dele Alli.
Well, there you go.
Well, they should have reassessed that a while ago, probably. But yeah, and that goes to show how difficult it is to get these players out. Like, so we've seen it so often with other clubs when you have these big wages and big transfer fees, that if it doesn't work out, it's hard unless you're taking a massive hit. Look at United. Like they had to pretty much give Sanchez away, didn't they? Because he was on such big wages. Like no one would take him. It happens so often.
Arsenal are going to have to do the same with Aubameyang now.
Barca signed Coutinho 104 million. They have to give him away because no one's taking him.
It happens all too often in the last 5 years or something. It happens so often.
Yeah, look at Arsenal, Pepe. I'm sure they probably want to get rid of him, but who's taking him? They signed him for 70 million. You know, no one's taking him. Yeah, Aubameyang, perfect example as well. 350k a week they gave him. No one's going to take him now.
Ozil
had to give him away. They had to give him away. So the problem, the difficult thing is Ndombele has 3 years left on his contract, and he's relatively young. So it's a bit of a different situation, but. Is it going to end up with us giving him away? That looks like the direction it's headed, isn't it?
Yeah, it's probably. I mean, we're going to give him away to next to nothing to what we actually paid for him. 65 million.
We're not going to get anywhere near.
You know what I mean? We're not going to get the max we can get. In my opinion, is about 30 million.
Yeah,
I don't see us getting
right now. I think that would be it.
But all right, that's the Ndombele situation. Let's move on and let's talk about incomings in Adama Traore, as Bruno Lage was talking last night in his post-match interview, and he refused to rule out the possibility of Adama leaving Wolves, didn't he?
He did. He was being a bit cryptic. He said, I don't know anything about any transfers, but he said, all I will say is whatever happens is best for the club, and whatever's best for the club is best for the player, and that's all I have to say. And it was a bit weird response, but obviously there's a lot of reports coming out today, and there's been over the past few days about Adama Traore. Looks like this deal was progressing. I've got
the Ali Gold little snippet, so let me read it out. He was talking this morning, and he said Spurs are finally expected to make their move for Adama Traore. Tottenham are looking to convert Adama into a right wing back, but in the absence of the injured Son, he could initially take up a role further up the pitch if Spurs do not wait until the window's final stages to step up their attempts to bring him in. And I mean,
no surprise there.
We have to do it. We have to do it this week. Let's get him in for the derby. Come on.
Yeah, right. Was if he's no chance. This is definitely going to drag out a bit longer, but obviously, I think the Athletic and Daily Mail both reporting that the deal is definitely progressing. Tottenham set to launch 18 million. They're saying for Adama Traore, and I for one, I know there's been a lot of debate whether people want it or not. I for one, I'm excited only if he's not going to be the only attacking addition to this team this window, and if he's not, we'll go into Bergwijn in a sec, but if he's not only if he isn't a replacement for an attacker that's going out, he needs to either be a supplementary player to what we have now, or if we do sell what a player we have now, then we have to have Adama and another one, because it's not enough. If Adama's going to be a forward player, if he's going to be a right wing back, then we definitely need another forward player. That's for sure. But he excites me. He's an elite. He's an absolute elite dribbler. He's so hard to stop. He's strong. He's quick. He's got such a low center of gravity. He's absolutely amazing at dribbling, Adama Traore, and he strikes fear into defenders. He commands attention. You can't ignore him, and he's very, very hard to stop. It's always just been his decision making and his ability in the final third that's always hampered him. Teams for example, when we played them early in the season, we didn't have a plan to stop him, or we did, and even when we did,
we had a plan. It was called Ollie Skip. Brian Hill.
We barely stopped.
Ollie Skip.
We struggled. We struggled.
Cup game.
Yeah, in the cup game. Now he didn't start that one, but the one earlier in the season when he roasted us time and time again. But either the Wolves players on the end of his crosses were letting him down, or his quality was letting him down. Time and time again, and I remember a game against Man United early in the season. He tore them a new one, but again they just couldn't either finish the chances he created, or he wasn't able to have the quality on his own chances. He's a player who's frightening. He's a player who definitely has so much scope to get better, that at that kind of money, 18 million, I think we would be silly not to consider it, in my opinion.
He did start that game because Skip and Hill did a massive shift on him.
I thought, didn't he came on at half time?
No, I think he started.
I'm pretty sure he came on. I remember he came on because I remember we kept saying like, Adama's. We got to wait till Adama comes on. Like
it says here he started. He got man of the match.
That's the game we won, 1-0.
Oh, this is sorry, you're right.
Yeah. That's the game. That's the game I'm talking about.
Right.
He roasted us. Yeah, he was brilliant that game, but they couldn't make the most of it.
So which is the game when Brian Hill and Ollie Skip?
That was the cup game.
That was
2-2.
The second half, right?
Yeah, he came on in the second half, and we did stifle him a bit. But I think first of all as well, I think the worst case scenario in this deal anyway is we get an amazing impact sub that can come off the bench in impact games.
Yeah.
That's the worst case scenario, in my opinion, that this deal could bring.
Yeah, it's true, but
even if he's not going to be an amazing starter,
I just don't want him to be the Bergwijn replacement. I want him to be the Matt Doherty replacement.
Yeah,
that's what I want.
Yeah, 100%.
And if he comes in as the Bergwijn replacement, we're swapping one player with no end product for another player with no end product.
I completely agree. We're not adding goals to the team.
Yeah,
we're adding maybe a bit more threat, but we're not adding any goals, and that's what we need. We need players who actually can start producing in the final third.
I absolutely love the idea of him at right wing back. I love it. Bring us further up the pitch. I know his end product is lacking, but that's something. First of all, I think Conte can bring a bit more out of him, and I think he'll have better end product than Emerson anyway.
And if we can protect him, if we can lessen the need for him to be tracking back or whatever, or protect him when he is up the pitch, if we just give him free rein on that right hand side, he can dominate big time, 100%. And players are, for Wolves, he's doubled up and tripled up against
every time.
But they can't do that with Tottenham because that leaves because you've got to double up on Kane and exactly you got a lot of quality forwards that also need a more double, because Kane, I don't even realise with Kane, he's always doubled up and tripled up against every game because they can't let him shoot. If you let Kane get a shot off, then he's got a good chance of going in. But if you've got Adama there as well, all of a sudden that could open up space. And I'm just also imagining Adama and Lucas on a counter-attack. I mean, they probably won't pass to each other, but that could be one thing. But if they learn how to play with each other,
Lucas on a counter attack will be amazing up until the final third.
Exactly, then they'll just screw up. But if they can learn how to play with each other, the thing is with Conte as well, though, because he's very specific with his instructions, and he doesn't leave anything to the imagination. Usually he's very hyper detailed with how he wants things to go. He maybe could be the perfect guy for Traore, because he's known for turning wingers into wing backs. He's done that before with other people, and maybe Traore, if you leave him to his own freedom too much, that's maybe where he can get a bit.
Conte will tell him exactly what to do, when to do it, how to do it, who to do it with.
Exactly, and maybe that could help him. Maybe that could that focus, a bit of exact focus on what exactly he needs to do, because his dribbling ability is the best in the league, probably by maybe him and say Maximo close, but by quite a distance to a lot of other players. He is unbelievable at dribbling. He just needs that bit of unlocking, and if we can, that's why I'm excited. That's why I'm excited, and it's a cheap deal. It's not expensive. I think it's worth taking a punt on. I think at the moment.
Yeah, I completely. I mean, both of us were talking about him in the summer, and we were for the transfer in the summer, and that was talking about to buy him further up the pitch. I mean, after his season so far this season, I mean, he's had a shocking season so far, let's be honest. No
goals and assists. But as we said, early in the season, against United and against us, he was ripping them apart.
He's struggling to get consistent minutes as well at Wolves at the moment. But I think that it would be a very, very good signing for us if it is a right wing back. Like I said, I'll say it again. If it's to replace Bergwijn, I don't think it's a good signing. But if it's at right wing back, I think it's a very, very good signing.
Yeah, it could be one that goes under the radar,
Yeah,
maybe.
completely agree. And, a lot of fans, the reaction across social media and a lot of fans thinking Adama to Spurs is probably a bit laughable. A lot of fans are thinking because of his end product and the numbers he pulls out. But I'm actually quite confident it'll be a successful signing if it is a right wing back role.
Yeah, I understand people's reservations. I think I still also have a few reservations. Are we really going to unlock something that other managers haven't been able to? But if anyone can, Conte can. I'm confident of that. And if Conte really thinks this guy is got the ability he wants in the squad to really improve it, then there's no reason not to be a bit excited about what he could bring. And there's one thing for sure, though, it's definitely going to be fun.
Yeah, that's for sure.
It's definitely going to be fun, whatever happens, because he is even at his worst, he's one of the most amazing players just to watch. He's incredible at dribbling, like a full flight. Like he's when he's does, there's some things he does, like just with his strength and his dribbling, which just amaze you. You just think, how the hell is he doing that? And when he's doing that road run, he goes from 0 to 60 in unbelievably quick.
Commentary from him in Europe.
Yeah, exactly. It's so funny. So I think it could be a good deal.
What do you think this means for Emerson if he does come in at right wing back?
I think it's great for Emerson because I think there's more competition at the moment. When it comes to Emerson, it seems as though he much like Conte, doesn't fancy Emerson that much, but he still much prefers Emerson to Doherty, and that's how little he probably rates Doherty, I would say. So I think he's probably forced to play Emerson as much as possible. Emerson's coming for a lot of shit. I don't think Emerson's been that bad. I really don't. I think he's done a decent job. His crossing definitely needs massive improvement. But I actually think as a right wing back, in terms of his ability to compete with other players on the fullback positions and stuff defensively, I think he's been fairly solid. Going forward, I think he's actually athletically really good. He's always there every single time. He's never lacking. He's never struggling to get into position. He's always there. He could take players on a bit more for sure, but sometimes he does, and he does a decent job. And his crossing definitely needs massive improvement, but he has, put in a few decent crosses. So I think the competition will help him definitely improve, hopefully help him step up his game, knowing that he's not definitely always in the team like he knows now. So it'll force him to step up. And also he's young. He's 22, we've got to remember. People say about Rodon and Tanganga, they need time, they're young, Tanganga do it alone. Emerson's younger than Tanganga.
Yeah, not only is he young, but he's coming in from a foreign league, straight away coming in, playing every game pretty much.
We're too quick to write players off, especially when...
I've been saying that consistently about Emerson. A lot of people have been coming up to me, at Spurs and talking about Emerson, and that's what I say to them every time, is he's a young player coming from a foreign league. Give the guy time. He needs time.
It's all right not to be convinced by him, and I understand that. He still has a lot of flaws in his game, 100%. But to say this guy's useless, he's rubbish, we have to get rid of him immediately. To say you have to get rid of him immediately, come on, let's just calm down. He's 22. I actually think he's not been that bad. I really don't think he's been bad.
I would say his Spurs. I would rate his Spurs career so far as probably about a 6 out of 10.
Yeah. But he's not been a disaster. No. I don't think he's
not been a Matt Doherty 2 out of 10.
Yeah, exactly. He's not he's definitely shown in more in 6 months than Doherty's shown in the 18 months he's been here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and he's young and he's a bit raw as well. I still think he's got a lot of scope to develop. So
I also feel he looks a bit uncomfortable on the ball, Emerson.
Sometimes he looks really comfortable on the ball, and sometimes he looks uncomfortable.
Sometimes he's got that awkwardness about him on the ball.
Yeah, sometimes he does. I'll give you that. But also, he's very used to playing a right back, and now he's also developing on a new role.
Yeah, that's also a lot to be said about that positional change at that age in a new league. Mm-hmm. It's going to take time.
And I just think as well, I feel like it'll help him because Emerson's had to pretty much play every game, hasn't he? Yeah. He's had a rest here and there, but he's pretty much had to play most games. But having Adama there as well, the rotation will help. And I think that especially the way the wing-back role we play, it'll definitely help having Adama as competition and opportunities to rest. Competition will help both players. And I think I'm not writing off Emerson just yet. I think he's a decent player.
And it will give us 2 competent wing backs now on both sides.
That's exactly important. You know what I mean? That's very important.
Adama and Emerson, Reguilon and Sessegnon. And yeah, it'll do us the world of good. You know, them 2 on the wings, Kane, Sonny and Lucas up front as well. So on the counter, we're going to be absolutely rapid if this Adama thing does come off. But look, that is the Adama situation. Ali Gold saying that Spurs are expected to finally make their move. Let's hope it doesn't take until the end of the window, because we really do need him in as soon as possible. But let's talk about Steven Bergwijn now, as Romano broke last night that Tottenham have decided to sell Steven Bergwijn this month. Various clubs are showing interest in the Dutch winger. Ajax are amongst the clubs that have submitted an offer already. On a permanent move, that is. Still nothing agreed with Spurs, and it's an open race. So what was your reaction to that last night when you saw that?
I was a bit surprised, but ultimately, if it means that, you know, I think it's probably a situation where we're not getting offers for Ndombele, we're not getting offers for Bergwijn, we probably need to raise funds from somewhere, knowing how our policy is. So if we do get offers for Bergwijn, we'll probably look to sell him, because as much as Conte's been talking him up recently in presses and stuff, and
had a really good game against West Ham.
He had a good game against West Ham. He's actually been decent when he's recently, actually. But ultimately, if we can have an opportunity to upgrade on him, or bring someone in who's going to have more of a goal output, I think we'd have to do it. I think we'd have to push the button. And I like Bergwijn, I really do. And I'm not going to be unhappy if he's still here at the end of the window. But if we do get a chance to recoup the money that we got for it, that we paid for him, and we have someone in mind or deal in place to get a replacement who's not Adama, I want, apart from Adama, this has to be a separate deal to Adama, then I would go for it. If it is like a Kulilevsky or something, then I would definitely consider that strongly. If it's someone who Conte thinks is more suited to how he wants to play, definitely. But it would be a disappointment to see the Bergwijn deal end like this. This would make 2 years though, wouldn't it? At Tottenham,
because we signed him in January.
So this would be 2 years. And let's be honest, it is 2 years. Like, it's 2 years. He's now 24. Must be 24 now, Bergwijn.
Yeah.
Didn't we sign him at 22? So he must be 24 now, Bergwijn.
He's 24, yeah.
24. So he's not young, but he's not like a youngster.
He's going to be 25
soon.
This month, yeah.
This month, okay. So he's going to be. So, you know, he's at an age where it's not like he's going to explode into a completely new player at this point. I do definitely think he's a player who, if given regular game time, could easily be getting between 5 and 10 goals a season and between 5 and 10 assists. Do I think he's a player who's any more than that? That's what I'm not sure about. And maybe we need a player who could potentially regularly get over 10 goals in that kind of position, stuff like that. I think he's a player with a lot of quality. I think it hasn't worked out at Tottenham. I think a move will probably do him good. Maybe a fresh start, a new club will probably do him the world of good. He just doesn't seem to be breaking into the Tottenham team at the moment, like fully trusted in terms of in the forward positions. But as I say, I like him as a player. I think he'll do well wherever he goes. I think he'll have a good career. I just think at Tottenham, maybe he was the right player at the wrong time.
Yeah, especially if he goes to Ajax. I mean, he'll rip up the Dutch league if he goes to Ajax, especially in that team. Teams that, you know, controls possession, scores like 3 or 4 goals pretty much every game there.
He'll get his confidence back.
Yeah, and potentially I would look to maybe swap him for one of the Ajax players, like an Anthony or someone like that.
Definitely Anthony, yeah. Anthony's lighting things up.
Yeah.
I'd love that, but with Ajax would be open to that. Well, they're having a great time at the moment. They ripped it up in the group stages, and obviously I think they're top of the league, aren't they?
Yeah, by some way.
Yeah, so whether they might think this is another, you know, when they got to the semi-final a couple of years ago, they might think they got another shot at it now. So would they be willing to split up in January? I'd find it hard to believe they would be, but maybe. But Bergwijn, if he goes back there, for sure he'll gain his confidence back, and maybe with a view of him going back to a different team in like Spain or Italy, maybe even England later on. But I just think at Tottenham right now, we need players we can't afford to like let him play his way into the team at the moment, unfortunately.
The problem is that if Bergwijn goes and we only get an Adama in, we're still light up front.
100%.
Massively light up front. Let's say now,
100%.
right, with Bergwijn going, Son's injured.
Yeah, we have Kane. We have Kane.
No numbers.
Kane
up
and
top.
Lucas.
So we cannot get rid of Bergwijn unless we have a replacement literally ready to go.
I agree with you. And that is one thing that does slightly annoy me with this news that we are prepared to sell him, because right now our forward options are Son, Kane, Lucas, Bergwijn, and Gil. Gil, I don't think's ready to really be relied upon. He's a player who, if he's your 6th choice winger, that's fine for now. He might be in the future a bit higher up, but right now you can't expect him to really be impacting games properly and relied upon.
He needs a loan move and regular.
He could probably be, he probably needs a loan move. Then Son and Kane, we rely on them very, very heavily, but they're prone to injury sometimes, and Son's injured at the moment because of fatigue. Lucas is doing very well at the moment, but he's not usually a very reliable source of goals. And then Bergwijn is definitely not a reliable source of goals, and we're looking to sell him. So we definitely need players in that forward line. Even right now, even if we kept the same option, say we're not selling Bergwijn, we still need a forward player right now. So to sell Bergwijn, I would say we need 2. And if Adama's 1, I would say, okay, Adama 1 plus another, though. You have to have another one in there.
At a much higher level than Adama.
Yeah. And the problem is, I'm just reading now that there's rumours that Chiesa has done his ACL. Ooh. And if that is the case, that could have ramifications if any deal for Kulusevski.
Yeah, definitely true.
So
has there been any concrete talks about Kulusevski, though?
There's been light
concrete. It's all like Calcio Mercato and just these kind of websites.
I think DiMaggio might have said we're genuinely looking at him.
Right.
So no offers or anything like that.
I feel DiMaggio is very hit and miss these days.
I wouldn't be surprised if we are looking at him. That wouldn't shock me. Like, he played at Juventus, and he's a player that
obviously Paratici
well.
signed him there. And I'd be open if Paratici wants him at Spurs, but his output at Juventus is not the greatest.
No.
In terms of goals and assists.
No. But he's also like 22. He's and he's also got a lot of scope to improve. And maybe he's just more in line of what Conte wants.
I was watching the game yesterday, Juventus against Roma, and Kulusevski looks rapid. He really
he's
does
very
look
quick.
Rapid. Bloody hell! What a game last night, by the way. That game, it was absolutely insane. And he scored yesterday, and he looked all right. He did look all right.
I mean, I'd want him. I'd want him at Tottenham, but it looks like that. I think if that's true about Chiesa, I can't see them letting him go.
Paul G said in the comments here says, "Let's go look at Noni Madueke again."
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
He had a big injury this season. I don't know if he's back or not, but he did have an amazing first bit of the season this year.
But if he's, what can we take on another injured player right now? We need massive attacking support right now for this team. I'm worried that it will just be, I'm worried that we will sell Bergwijn and bring in Adama and that'll be it. That's the
classic Spurs thing.
Yeah, that's clear. That is really what Tottenham do. Like, that's literally how we like to do business. So it wouldn't surprise me.
There's another option, Jeremy Doku as well from Rennes. I think that would be a really good signing. He's also very fast, Jeremy Doku. And I remember watching him in the Euros for Belgium.
He was great.
He was great, wasn't he?
Definitely. I think there are a few options we can go for if we sell Bergwijn and get some money in for him. So, I mean, I would, if we do get an offer, I think sell and bring someone in. That would probably be the best thing to do. But we need another player on top of that. We need a replacement for Bergwijn plus Adama. That's the minimum. If we don't get that, we're leaving ourselves short for the second half of the season, and that would annoy me. But I'd be sad to see Bergwijn go. But I think it's probably best.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a big advocate for Steven Bergwijn. I've always thought there's a player in there. But ultimately, it's up to the manager and Fabio and whatever decision they go to make. I mean, we're all going to trust him, aren't we?
I mean, yeah, but we can obviously, we can have our opinion on it. But
yeah, and my opinion is that I've always backed him, but ultimately his output's not been good enough.
Yeah, it's been 2 years, so what can we do? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
he needs to up it. But again, there's this one. Do you think he'll be here by the end of January?
I got a feeling he won't be. I think he's going to go. I think he's more likely to go than Ndombele. Wages aren't that much of an issue. We can probably
Fee's
get
not
a fee that will, because of his age and everything like that. And Ajax seem very keen to take him. I mean, these Ajax rumours just don't go away. They've been there for a while. Those
What
Ajax
about
rumours.
Ismail Assar?
Yeah, I would love Ismail Assar at Spurs. And you're talking about rapid. Now, he is rapid.
Imagine him, Traore, and Lucas in the front.
Mate, that would be insane.
a lot of pace.
And
but
Sonny, don't forget Sonny.
And Sonny. But Sarr would probably command at least 50, 60 million at this point because of how well he's playing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
If I could offer you one of Kulusevski, Doku, or Ismail Assar, who would you take?
It's a difficult one. Doku's the youngest one out of all of them. Sarr's Prem proven, but I think Kulusevski might have the most quality in terms of technical ability out of all of them. Oof, it's a tough one. I would probably just go Kulusevski just because of his versatility.
And obviously, if we want to bring him in, we know our hierarchy are convinced about him because they've had a close look at him before as well. Bring him to Juventus.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll probably pick him. But in terms of the most likely out of those three, probably Doku, I'd say. But they'll probably all be quite expensive deals.
Yeah. All right, look, that is the transfer updates for today. Let's start bringing on
There's
some
super chats here, though.
Oh, go on, get through the super chats.
Brandon Troller says, would you take Diego Costa on a free on a 6-month deal?
Diego Costa?
He's just cancelled his contract with Atletico Mineiro.
Oh, what? He just signed it, didn't he?
Well, I don't know if he just signed it, but he's cancelled
He
it.
just signed it last week.
Was it?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't the beginning of the season.
Oh, okay. I literally thought he just signed it a few weeks ago.
I'm not 100% sure when he signed it. Maybe you're right. You could be right. I thought he signed it at the beginning of the season.
Anyway, would I take him? No, I wouldn't.
No. No, I mean, either. I don't think it's worth it.
33 years of age, come on.
Mohammed Raza says, no, but he wants him saying 6-month deal
Still not.
on a free.
Apparently, I just typed his name to Google, and one of the articles that comes on, it says, Diego Costa drives around the streets of Brazil in a tractor.
Brilliant. Mohammed Raza says, an Adama gives Adeli, Son, Kane space to finish. I think that's true.
Yeah.
I think Adama definitely allows more space for the other players because of just his dribbling ability. You have to take care of him. Stefan Blois says 18 million should be put towards a proven player, not Adama. Adama's proven in what he's good at, I guess. That's all I would say on that. Brandon Troller says more of a signing for the summer, but I think Seko Fofana deserves a big shout. Creative, box-to-box beast. Definitely. Definitely could do. But you got people also forget next in the summer we're getting Papa Sarr in. So he's going to be part of the first team next year.
Thing is, with Papa Sarr, I've got a feeling it might be another one that's not ready for the first team. I mean, he's struggling for minutes at Metz this season. So what chances do you have to breaking in the Spurs team?
He's still only 18, isn't
That's
he?
what I'm saying, yeah.
But being a regular, it's pretty impressive at 18.
Yeah, but he's struggling for minutes this year. Obviously, he's at the AFCON this year now, so maybe we'll get a nice look at him if he plays. But yeah, he's struggling for minutes, to be honest.
I don't think he's played quite regularly, isn't he?
I think he's been limited to a lot of sub appearances this season.
Fair enough. I'm pretty sure he's like every other game he's playing.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, which is for an 18-year-old, that's great. I think that's good.
I think he was playing more last season, wasn't he?
18 appearances this season. Yeah, he's starting most of them.
I mean, he started off the season starting a lot of games, and then he's been limited, hasn't he?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. In his last 9 games, he started 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of his last 9 he started.
Yeah.
More than last season. Last season, I think it was probably similar. 22 games. So he's already once he broke into the team, he was starting every game last year. But it took him halfway through to break in.
So yeah, okay.
So,
and on that Seko Fofana thing, I mean, it just has vibes of Nkudu and G for me. Another winger from France. that we don't know
He said
too
he's
much
a
about.
box-to-box midfielder. This,
Oh, is he?
Comment. That's what he said.
Oh, right, okay.
And then Mohammed Raza with another super chat says, I feel for Dele. You can't give him Ericsson and Toby who ping passes to him in the box, then expect results with an out-form Lo Celso and Ndombele.
Sorry, say that again?
He says you can't expect Dele to feed off passes from Toby and Ericsson and then give him Ndombele and Lo Celso and expect the same.
Yeah, and Eric. Yeah, I mean, that's when Dele really thrived, didn't he? When Ericsson was at his pomp and Toby was playing those balls over the top.
Yeah, but I just feel like if you're relying solely on specific players to make you good, how good are you?
Yeah, very true.
You know
very
what I mean?
true. Spot on. Any other super chats?
That's it for now.
All right, let's start bringing on some guests, and let's start off with Mikey. I'm just gonna put
Hey guys, how are you?
1 sec. Hey Mikey, how you doing? Are you on mute? I can't hear him. Oh, there you
sorry.
go. I can hear you now. How you doing, Mikey?
guys.
Everything all right?
Yeah, no, but yeah,
Why not? What's wrong?
because I watched that live yesterday.
In
I was
the
at
stadium.
I was in the stadium, yes.
Tell
It
me
was-
what it was like when Ndombele was going off for a sub.
So the reaction was so Ndombele, Ali had to come off and walk around the south. I was sitting right up the top of the south stand on Park Lane, and he was walking, and in any other situation, probably Dele Alli would have been booed off. But I watched there were 10,000 people sitting around me, and they were all like 10,000 gazers were just staring at one player trudging slowly off the pitch, and that was Tanguy Ndombele. Like Dele Alli was by no means good yesterday, but Ndombele was that bad. He made Dele look world class. I mean, I watched him skill up players for fun. I used to watch him skill up players for fun in the Lyon and the early Tottenham days, and now look at him. He couldn't get past a Morecambe midfield that weren't any good. Like Morecambe didn't play good yesterday. Like they didn't. They obviously, when you're coming up against a Premier League team and you're of a lower quality, you're going to try and rely on set pieces, get a few cheap free kicks, corners, and use your height advantage. Because I remember talking to my dad, he was sitting next to me, and there was this one centre back. He was stood next to now. Who was it? Joe Rodon's not short. He stood next to Joe Rodon, and he dwarfed. Joe Rodon, he made it look like a dwarf. He was like 6'6". I'm thinking, Jesus, the set pieces of the and I was watching Ndombele walk off, and he's there's nothing left for him anymore. He doesn't have the drive, the desire. I watched Dane Scarlett come on for the last 5 minutes, and he ran more than Ndombele did during the entire game.
In terms of Ndombele, there's been a lot of talk about his future, about whether he's going to be here. Apparently, Tottenham are a little willing to listen to offers this month. How do you think it all plays out with him this month? Do you think he ends up leaving? Do you think we're going to get any offers? Do you think he may end up staying? If he does end up staying, is there any sort of route back for him, or do you think he just sits in the reserves for 6 months?
I think it's a Danny Rose situation. I think he gets put in the reserves. I know that we're incredibly light in creative midfield, but we can't afford a player like him on those kind of wages with that little desire. We bought him for 65 million on a contract worth 200. He earns the same as Harry Kane. He earns more than Son. And I did a quick calculation when you guys said his contract ends on the 30th of June 2025. 181 weeks. If he's on 200k a week, that's 32.8 million pounds we're going to pay him in wages before his contract ends.
But surely that you can't afford to have that kind of player in the reserves then.
No, you can't. We're paying him almost 33 million pounds in wages for the rest of his contract. That's not even taking into account probably the 15 to 20 million we've already paid him. So I think you try and get that 30 million pound fee for him now, take his wages off your books, and you save that money on someone who's actually worth it. I'm not saying, like, I'd be happy for Adama to come in. Like, he's not a player that you look for and think, yes, guaranteed world-class player. You can dribble for days. I'd love to see him brought in. He'll do more for the team than Ndombele does. Like, I've seen lots of reports from like reputable sources and Sky Sports that they're going to look for his sale. But if we're looking for a sale for Ndombele and he wants to go to a Champions League club, Like, is he delusional? How is he gonna get into a He's not Champions League quality anymore. Like, we bought him from Lyon, who weren't like he was bossing it in the midfield for Lyon with players. I can't remember who he had around him. It was who they have like a really good midfield. They had like Awa and Fekir and players around him, and he was doing good. But he's come to the Premier League. He hasn't adapted to the skill level from the French league to the Premier League. There's a gap. There's definitely a gap between the skill level of the French league for a top level French league team and a top level Premier League team. So we can't afford to have this kind of player who's earning this much money. Like, you talk about Harry Kane's dreadful performances. There's not been one word of us talking about him, but Ndombele was an investment. Kane was an academy product, you know. Ndombele cost us 65 million Great British pounds, and he's playing like he's worth 65 Great British pounds. We can't seem to figure out how to you know how to use him, and that money needs to go towards somewhere better. It needs to.
Did you think to get? Would you? As we've discussed on the show, like we've seen a play out with many clubs with players on big wages, big transfer fees, where if they find it very hard to shift these kind of players, and they end up, look at Arsenal, Ozil, they had to end up giving away on a free. Barca have been forced to loan out Coutinho because no one's going to take on that fee or any wages, so they have to get rid of him very cheap. Is that the only way at this point we get rid of Ndombele, or do you think there's still a chance he can show some sort of quality at Tottenham, then we can recoup some sort of fee for him?
I think he's burned his bridges. I liken the Ndombele situation to the Pogba one. I think Pogba, although I'm not saying no, Pogba's been. I know Pogba was a lot more. He's been a better investment than Ndombele was. Don't get me wrong. I know Pogba's been amazing at times, but you look at the last couple of seasons and you can liken it because he's a very world-class player. Probably Pogba has we say Ndombele's talented. Pogba has more talent in his left toe than Ndombele would ever have. He's that good. He could be, but they both have the same questionable desire, injury prone to mistakes, and ultimately disconnection with the fans because of their performances. And I think now that you're seeing how the attitude's coming back to hit him, and Conte knows, like we've all seen, the one thing Conte demands is 100% respect, and I guess you could call it even an indoctrination into his ideals. If you don't play the way he wants you to play, if you don't play for the club and Conte, then you're out. And Conte's trying to get rid of Ndombele, but he's forced to play him because of our skeleton squad at the moment.
But okay, moving on from Ndombele, there's been talk today about Adama coming in and potentially Bergwijn going out. What are your thoughts on those two potential deals? Do you think Adama would be a good signing, and would it be a good signing dependent on how we use him? And would you be sad to see Bergwijn go, or would you like to see him stay?
I wouldn't be sad to see Bergwijn go, but we can't afford to sell him. We really can't. Our forward line is thin at best when we have all of our players fit, and with such a key player like Heung-min Son out, Lucas Moura, I know he's doing good at the moment. He's an inconsistent player. We've seen him hit patches before, like when he scored those 2 goals against United a few years back and then had a really good run of form before drifting off, or when he scored the hat-trick against Huddersfield. He was in the middle of a good round of form before he tailed off again. So the players who are on form now, like their inconsistencies will start to creep in eventually. And I know Bergwijn is more of a missed player than a hit, but we can't afford to let him go. And with Adama coming in, if he's going to be a right back replacement rather than a right wing, an attacking replacement, then we're going to end up in a situation where if we can't move Doherty on, we've got 3 makeshift right backs and a forward line that's consisting of Kane, Lucas Moura, and the Holy Spirit. We can't afford to let Bergwijn go if we don't have 2 replacements ready, because Brian Hill's not ready. we know for certain that Brian Hill's not ready, and if that's the case, then Bergwijn is leaving, and we don't have anyone else to come in. I've just noticed in the chat that Chiesa has definitely sprained his ACL, and he'll be out for 6 or 7 months. So there goes Kulusevski.
Yeah, he ain't coming then. Yeah.
But yeah, if we get Adama in, sell Bergwijn, and we're looking to get rid of Ndombele as well, and we need replacements in, but I can't see who we bring in. Who's going to want to join Tottenham?
Would you be disappointed if Bergwijn goes out, Adama comes in, and that's just like for like, and that's it?
Yes, I would be. I'd be very disappointed because we need more investment in this. We need more improvement than this. We can't sit around using this same bunch of stale players. Like, I look at the performance yesterday. I watched it. The players that impressed me were Ryan Sessegnon. He was everywhere. Like, I remember at one point, it was in the first half. We were going absolutely nowhere. He was out on the left flank. He just said, you know what, F it, I'm doing it myself. And he drove in, beat about 3 or 4 players, but couldn't apply the finish. You know, he had a couple of moments like that where no one around him was doing anything. He just thought, fuck it, I'm going to do it myself. Drove in, dribbled past 4 or 5 players, but obviously couldn't provide the finish because obviously he's more of a defender than an attacker now. But the players that impressed me yesterday were Harry Winks. That free kick was cracking. He scored it facing me, which I'm happy about. It was a very good. He said in the interview that he meant it, so I'm happy for him. But Sessegnon, Winks, and to a point, Ben Davis, but Ben Davis, it was what I've come to expect from a good 7.5 out of 10, good defensive solidity. It was the other two that let him down. I think if we're talking about Tanganga was awful. He lost probably I haven't played much like professional football, but even I know if you're assigned a man to mark at a corner, you don't let him get across you because that's a guaranteed goal. If a man gets across you, it's a goal. And he didn't even run with him. Tanganga stood there and watched it as the ball came in, and he side-footed it in on the penalty spot from a corner, and there was no one around him. The marking was dreadful, and I think if you're looking at the squad, there's so many stale players. That's what the point I'm coming to. Sorry, talking about the Morecambe game. The point I'm coming to is that there's so many stale players in this squad. There's so much deadwood, and if Conte is going to be in charge of a massive rebuild, then we can't keep waiting for these players to come good eventually because of the investment. If they're not coming good now, and we need players to come good now, like someone mentioned Seko Fofana, he was Liga and Player of the Month a couple of months in a row. I think he's been bossing it out I think it's for the same team that I think he plays for Lens.
Okay.
But you know, I would definitely bring in someone like that. But I'm making a lot of points right now. And 3 points I'm making is that yesterday, apart from Cess, Winksy, and Davis, no one really stood out. Lo Celso is good, but we just know he's going to get injured again. So there's
you can't get too excited. All right. There's just been confirmation about that Chiesa news, which is very
just
bad.
Came back from injury as well.
Bad news for him.
Thursday. He was brilliant yesterday, and then he's out again for the rest of the season now because ACL. Yeah. You know, once you've done your whatever the cruciate ligaments, then you're pretty much out for 6 months minimum. So
such a shame. He's such a good player, isn't he?
He's so good.
But Mikey, thanks for coming on, my friend. We'll speak to you soon.
You're welcome. Bye.
Nice to see you, mate. Good to see you.
All right, guys, let's keep going and let's go to George. George, how's it going, mate?
Hey, guys. I'm well. How are you guys?
Yeah, all good. All good. I mean, we spoke at length about the game last night, but any new thoughts, any fresh thoughts this morning?
Not. I had the chance to see that where I sit. So I'm my season ticket is at the West Stand, lower, on the corner with the North Stand. So I didn't get a great look at the Morecambe goal. And it was pretty poor. I mean, it was just the marking there at the back, and the way that Tanganga got beaten was disappointing. I'm beginning to feel for him, and whether I think he's caught in a position where we're desperate for players, and that's why he's still maintaining a role in the side. But he's really struggling. I think he needs a break, and I think he needs to be taken out on loan just to go on a bit of a rebuild himself. I mean, forget the rest of the team, but it was. There was a few times where he received the ball and it literally his first touch was poor, and it wasn't just him; it was several. I don't want to single him out, but his first touch I found was really poor when he received the ball. So yeah, that's my only other thought really. Just the defensively, that was. I mean, we're playing Morecambe. And effectively he's getting beaten. Just disappointed for the kid.
Yeah, in terms of some of the transfer news you've been talking about, potentially Adama coming in, Bergwijn going out, and you're open to offers for Ndombele and things like that. What are your current thoughts on what you're hearing? Are you excited by any potential news? Do you think it's enough? What's your current feelings on the transfer news you're hearing today?
It's not enough. I mean, whatever we say in January, it's just not going to be enough. I'm disappointed to hear that Bergwijn is going to be headed out the door. I think he has a lot to offer. And I was there I think it was the City game, wasn't it, where he was thrown into the deep end and scored. So, disappointed again that he's just not made it. I really liked him, and I think he's got a lot to offer. But I think he's just not settled. He's not settled in the same way that Ndombele hasn't really. He never really settled. So I'm really disappointed for him. And if we do lose him, I'm not sure what we do. We have to replace him. I mean, we need more players at the moment. So if we lose him, we really need to bring another sort of 2-3 players in. It's not just if it's a like for like, it just won't be good enough.
Yeah.
If one of those players is Adama, is that a good start, or are you not too excited about that?
Again, beggars can't be choosers. I would rather Adama than no one. So, but again, I'm kind of a little bit pessimistic with our approach on these things. I mean, yeah. Hopefully Paratici is right on this one, but I'm just tired of punting on players and it just not working out because it's just happening over and over and over again. And I'm now beginning to look at the whole situation with our recruitment, and there's something obviously lacking, isn't there? I mean, I think there's something fundamental there which is just not working. I also find all these rumours surrounding Paratici now with the investigation in Italy as to whether this is now going to really work itself out with him on board. I mean, I just really hope this isn't a house of cards that's going to collapse in the future.
Yeah, and your point about recruitment's spot on, because when you look at it, I mean, all the big signings that we've made over the last 5 years or so, I mean, we're trying to get rid of them. Ndombele, Steven Bergwijn, two of the biggest signings we've made. Davinson Sanchez, I mean, everything's been evident about him, how we've been trying to get rid of him. Maybe we're not trying to get rid of him this way, though, but we have done in the past. So, I mean, but we got to trust in Conte and Paratici, don't we?
Yeah, I mean, that's where we are at the moment. It's just, I think, I'm feeling a little bit battle worn, I guess. But it's look, we are where we are. I'm sure that they're trying to make moves in sort of the background, trying to get players in. Like I said, if Adama's the one who's going to be coming in, and we're going to end up playing him at sort of right wing back. I guess that takes the pressure off of him to score goals, but he's got to be creating. And like we saw yesterday, I mean, that's just what's sadly lacking, isn't it? We need somebody in there who's going to create.
Do you think, let's talk about Tanguy Ndombele now. I mean, do you think that he'll be here by the end of the window?
I think he probably will be. I don't think there's a team out there who's going to be able to afford his wages, who's going to take a risk on him. And that performance yesterday, unfortunately, he's playing against. I keep highlighting it that he's playing against Morecambe, and he's looking ineffective. So if you're playing against Morecambe and you're ineffective, there's not many teams that can actually come in for you. I think the sad reality with Tank is that he never settled. We've known that from the start, from the Amazon interview, not the interview, the sit down that he had with Levy. You could tell in his face, and each time you tend to see him, he just doesn't seem to me to be settled or wanting to be here. And if it's really his bad performances now as a result of Aurier and Sissoko having left, I mean, it's just really, really unprofessional. I mean, I know everybody builds up friends and relationships wherever they go amongst teammates, but at the end of the day, you're a professional footballer. I mean, each time we leave a job, you know, we always say goodbye to people that we've worked with for 2, 3, 4 years, sometimes longer. So, you know, we have to move on and hopefully go into bigger and better things. And when you're getting paid that sort of a salary, I think you've just got to sit down and have a hard look at yourself and say, well, you know, what am I actually doing to earn this money? And yesterday, that walk off the pitch, again, I try not to criticise players, but it was very close to sticking 2 fingers up at the fans. We desperately needed a goal to keep us in that game. And I mean, it seemed to take forever for him to come off the pitch. I mean, I even shouted out, you know, just get off the pitch, as everybody was. And then the boos started ringing out all around the stadium. I don't think I heard a louder chant, unfortunately, yesterday than those boos. And is
there any route back for him, do you think, or has he burned too many bridges at this point?
I think if he comes out and he starts and he has a phenomenal performance, then the questions will start coming up again. Should we keep him? All those questions. So there's always a way back. I mean, you're right. I did liken the situation to Hossam Ghali. It was more in respect of the boos against the player. The only other time I recall at Spurs as it being so pronounced was against Ghali. And you know, I think Harry Redknapp actually asked him to sit down again because he didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
you know, it was all the situation prior to that. I'm not sure. I can't recall if it was Martin Jol or
it was Martin Jol, I think.
Yeah.
Or who. But again, with Hossam Ghali, he actually lost a mouthful of teeth for us. I don't know if you recall. There was a
against
game
Chelsea, wasn't it?
No, I think Portsmouth maybe.
Was it Portsmouth?
It
was against Chelsea. He scored in the cup game.
Yeah, no, who was it? He got his teeth knocked out. I remember. Yeah, I can't remember what game it was. Yeah,
I remember someone found one of his teeth on the pitch. I remember at
yeah, something like that. Yeah.
But I mean, I felt sorry for him. But you don't walk off the pitch and throw your shirt off in the same way as you don't, you know, potentially lose a game for your team by slowing down your walk to come off. I don't want to labour it because to a certain degree I do feel sorry for him in what he's going through, but it is, I think a line has to be drawn now. The decision has to be made, and I think Conte will make that decision for him. I don't think it's got anything to do with him anymore.
Yeah, fair enough. But you know, seeing he's on big wages, big transfer fee we paid for him. January is always a tricky month for club spending as well. If you would put money on it, would you say he'll be here by the end of the window, or he's going to be gone?
Yeah, I think he will be. I think if anything, there's a chance he'll probably go in the summer. But I can't see anybody taking a punt on him in this transfer window.
Yeah, I agree with that.
George, always a pleasure, my friend, and we shall speak.
Good to speak to you, George. Just for calling again.
Guys, I just wanted to. The reason I came on was just to say thank you because you guys have been really complimentary in all your comments about me. So I just really wanted to come on and just say thanks to you guys and thanks to Brian because every time I seem to come on, you know, you guys are very complimentary and thanks a lot for that. I appreciate it.
No, thank you for coming on and showing your support for us. It's absolutely amazing. So,
great caller.
Yeah, great caller, and hopefully speak to you very soon as well.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on. Cheers, George. Thanks a lot.
Let's keep going. Let's go to Aravind. Aravind, how are we doing today? You're on mute. Aravind, you're on mute.
Is it his end?
There we go.
Tongi was the main talking point for me. That guy pissed me off yesterday. That was the worst performance I've seen of a while from any Spurs player, which I've been slamming a lot of players, but that was one of the worst I've seen. Not in terms of the performance, that is one factor which I've seen in all the players, but the desire to play for the batch, for the team was absolutely horrible. And that to a player who is earning 200 per week, there is no consequence. There needs to be proper consequences. Look at the end of the day, he's a footballer. He's playing for a team that wants to achieve great things in future, and he's one of the highest paid players of 200 per week. And you give that type of performances on the pitch, forget about him, but that provides a proper representation to other players on the team of what this club represents, and they'll be looking on to him as like, this guy is earning 200 per week and not put proper performances. So what about others? He's putting a bad example for him as a player and to the whole team, which is really not acceptable. And that too, like, yes, you can have a bad game, you can be depressed about your performances, but you need to come off at the pitch and try to motivate yourself as a player, and that's what you need. The basic things need to be done. You can have, yeah, go on.
No, I was about to say, but what do we do with this whole situation? Because he's, yeah, you're right. He's our highest paid player. We can't change that now. We can't just reduce his wages. We've paid 60 fees. Our record signing at 65 million, right? It appears that we're happy to let him go, but no one's really coming in for him for what we want. So unless we literally just give him away, he looks to be sticking around. So how do we deal with the situation? Do you think, just put him in the reserves until he can prove himself, or do you just keep giving him chances until he can show what he's about? Oh, he's on mute again.
Okay, I don't know
Oh,
why
there you
it
go.
was. Okay. I think so. Putting him on reserves is not going to help either the club nor him as a player, because he's already demotivated and feels like he's not interested. And it's a really hard situation. Like, no club at this stage wants him or doesn't want to take him. And I only see a only possible way where we can get a root out of him is to do some kind of swap deals, which we have been trying for the past few weeks, which has been rejected. But I only see it as an option, like either McKennie for Ndombele, and but that also comes into account of how much he needs to be paid. But the only
Why would
way,
Juventus take him right now?
sorry.
Why would Juventus take him right now?
I'm just giving an example because I just saw a few rumors about McKennie for Ndombele and it was rejected. So I'm just saying, like, any kind of swap deals which can only be done in this transfer window, which I can only see if we're selling him, or else there's no other chance that any club is going to offer 30 million plus the wages he's been earning. That's impossible. But I only see him going in a swap deal, and because we as a team need a better player who's more dependable in the position, and that's the only way we can get for our club. And we are not in the we have when we don't have a really good squad depth where we can replace we can sell him for a cheaper rate and get him in, because we are already it looks, it's very evident in yesterday's match that if our first team players don't come, we can't defeat these teams. We're struggling to do so. And regardless of selling these players, we have a lot of things more to address, which we need to address. Our center backs aren't of the quality. Our squad depth and in center backs is still not aren't quality. We don't have a creative midfielder. So a lot of things to address. We still want a backup striker, because if Son or Kane gets injured, so there's a lot of things to address, and it's impossible. And Conte is correct. This is not something you can't aim for top four with with this squad right now. But one transfer window or two transfer windows, it's going to take a serious task for us to bring back to the stage. But for at least as of now in the position, if we want to push to the top four, I think so. We need to deal with some short-term deals, which can be possible to at least push for the top four, and that's the max we can do right now. And the players right now are not performing. It's not either helping the club, and it's very difficult as a when we go in this transfer window to find solutions like that. Okay, who we can get, how we can replace these players, because no one is coming into it. So that's one factor that we need to address.
Do you think that he will be here by the end of the window, though?
I think so, because unless and anyone is seriously considering him, and like I think so only AS Roma, but they have another option available, if which is more dependable. So I think so. He's going to stick around for another 6 more months until we find a solution in the summer. But for sure, this summer more than the January, we still need some players. This summer, there needs to be like huge more overhauls. It needs to be done in the squad.
In terms of Steven Bergwijn, Aravind, Fabrizio Romano said last night we are now looking to sell him. We're open to selling him. We want to sell him. What's your opinions on Steven Bergwijn, and would Adama Traore be an adequate replacement for you?
For me, Adama Traore is not. It's not a good replacement for him to play in that position. I see him as a right wing back. But talking about Steven Bergwijn, I actually like him as a player, and I think so. He has not been given he's not able to break through into the team, and he gets injured sometimes. So he's not able to get the consistent runs to show his quality. But if we are selling him for 18 million, we need to get a replacement. And as per rumors, we aren't into anyone except Kulusevski. Or we are talking about these few players like Doku and all the stuff, but there's no concrete talks or anything with these players. So if we're considering Bergwijn to be sold, we need a proper replacement for him. And as said, more than getting him as a replacement, we need another player who needs to come into the squad than replacing him. So I, it's a huge window. It's a hard window, but I can't see there's many players who we're going to ship out, and it looks worrying as of now. Like what transfer business can be done other than Traore coming into the squad, which is good if we get him as a right wing back. And I think so. Doherty will be moving if we can get a 5-10 million, and if you're selling Bergwijn for 20 to 18 million, then there's 28 million in the kitty bag. So we can alter around to get another player up front if these two players are sold. So there is an opportunity to get another player. So I think so. Then this transfer window, we may be going for a right wing back and another player up front. That's the max I can see from the squad. I heavily doubt, unless I don't know unless if you guys hear the rumor about Daniel Levy going to Bahamas to Joe Lewis to talk about investment. Unless there is something serious that is going to happen in next few days, where there's some kind of American investment or they're finding other routes. Because I am pretty sure Daniel Levy, as much as he's a parasite and as much as I hate him a lot, he needs to he needs to look at the squad and seriously think and sit down as a person and see like what players do we have, what direction this club is going, and look at the serious issues this club has in terms of defense to midfield to strikers. Forget about reaching about City and Man City heights, which is a next stage. This squad needs a huge overall. I don't know about you guys. What do you guys think from defense to midfield? Like how many players that aren't of the quality that can reach us a standard top four team? It's very worrying. Jaffet can't. We have players like Brian Hill. We're getting Nuno. We're sacking him, Brian Hill, and then he's not part of the Antonio Conte. So we like the recruitment. We're wasting money in players which we don't want. That money could have been well spent on someone else if we had gotten Conte in the starting. So like this is what happens when you don't have proper planning, and now you go sit down and now rethink in the January of doing a proper overhaul of the squad. So there's a lot of things, and only way this club can be saved is that there needs to be investment to be done, because we don't have players of the caliber where we can sell someone for 40 million or 50 million and find replacements. And there's a lot of players we need to cut losses, and that's the stage we are in. I can't see anywhere any player which we can sell that can give us any kind of replacements. And Daniel Levy and Joe Lewis, Paratici, Conte, yes, all of us there. And that's the stage we are in. And We need to sit down and rethink as a squad of what players we need in each place. It's worrying. We can't break down a League Two team without bringing in first team players. It's very worrying. We never in 2016-17 season we used to smash teams final 6-0. It's been very long since I've seen a high scoring match since last year of Maccabi Haifa and the against Manchester United. We're not able to do it consistently, and especially a low block team. And currently, I'm very serious. I would actually reconsider Christian Eriksen back in the squad for a short term at least. It's very worrying. We need to break down these teams without any bringing in Kane and Son and Ali and Ndombele. You need to step up. You can't be bringing this type of performances. Come on, it's a League Two side, and you can't give this type of performances. And now you want to play for a Champions League squad. You want to play for a top team squad. No, you can't do that, man. It's not good for this team. It's never good for this team. And Son, Reguilon, Kane is going to sit down and think, oh my God, what's happening over here? Seriously, we need to reconsider. If Kane really wants to sign another contract, there needs to be some kind of planning which needs to be done. And it's a big task from investment side to bring this team back to where it is. And that's the truth which all fans need to agree.
If we do that business, like you say, we bring in, who'd you say, a right wing back and a striker or an attacking player, is that enough to propel us into the top four this year?
I would I'm still I would still consider someone to come in the midfield where we can break down this low block team. So I agree. We need three signings: a right wing back, a striker, and a midfielder which can help us. Two signings is not going to be enough because especially in the midfield, Højbjerg, Skip, Winks, Ndombele, it's not working out. We're not able to break that teams down. And I really, for me, the more than the striker position which we need to replace, for us to propel to the top four, we need a creative midfielder, and that's somewhere we need to address. So we need three signings for the top four, and that's the truth. For this to at least push, and then we can think about the future signings which can be done if we are able to finish in the
all right,
Champions.
Go on.
Yeah, to finish in the Champions League. So big 20 days, and we need investment. We seriously need investment, and hopefully we get in three signings. I'm really considering it because if we get three signings, there's a lot of hope for us to as for this season to push because we are in that ceiling to get the top four with the games in hand. So hopefully.
What's your prediction, Aravind? How many in, how many out?
I think so. Bergwijn and Doughty goes out, and we get in Adama Traore, a striker, a forward player, and someone on loan in midfield. That's the business we need to be looking for this January transfer window.
All right, Aravind, always great to speak to you, my friend, and have a good day.
Yeah, thanks.
Cheers, Aravind. According to Goal Point, whoever they are,
don't sound too reliable.
publication in Portugal, Tottenham have had a €60 million bid for Porto winger Luis Diaz turned down. I like Luis Diaz, actually.
I mean, I think Liverpool were after him as well, weren't they?
Yeah, that's what the rumours were. He's one of those players who's like a wing forward, one of them, very quick. I remember watching him last season against City. He was brilliant, I remember. He's a good player, Luis Diaz. But apparently we've had a bid turned down. That's what the ports in Portugal are claiming.
60 million?
60 million euros.
Why don't they make a 60 million euro bid for Vlahovic?
No, we won't, because that makes too much sense.
That makes too much sense.
And the Daily Mirror are reporting that Arsenal are prepared to go to 70 million in January to prevent bids in the summer. That's what John Cross is reporting on Vlahovic.
All this Vlahovic to Arsenal news is really starting to worry me a bit.
I really hope they don't get him.
God, if they get him, that is detrimental.
But Luis Diaz, I'll take. If it's possible.
If we've had a 60 million bid rejected, are we really going to sign him?
No.
Exactly. Anyway, let's bring on Brian Daigle. Sim, you're in his seat. Brian,
in
what's he
my
doing in
seat?
your seat?
I've got no idea, mate. We need to have a serious inquiry about that.
We're
How
gonna
you
have a
doing,
boxing
boy?
match, mate.
All good, mate. How are you, Brian?
All good, all
Good
good.
to see you,
Simeon,
Brian.
welcome back, brother.
Thank you, man. You did another great job as always, sitting in my seat. Fantastic stuff.
Always a pleasure, mate. Always a pleasure. You boys know whenever you need me, I'm there. Done deal.
Day 10, Brian. No signings.
Oh, mate, you really get to hear you,
Going
Ben, say
already.
to hear you, Ben, say about you're getting worried about Vlahovic now. When we had this discussion, is obviously concerning. It scares the crap out of me. But before we get talking, I just want to send a big shout out to a guy called Gary Turner, who is helping me with my stuff with Air Canada, as you guys know. But also, unfortunately, he lost his grandmother just before New Year, so I want to send a big
sorry
shout
to
out
hear.
to him. Big shout out to him
Big
and his
shout
family.
out.
And he really has been very helpful and come forward to me about Air Canada. He's been brilliant. So I just want to send a big shout out to that man and his family. But yeah,
Big
let's get back into it. Where were we?
Talking about transfers, there's always a
Lack
bit of
of.
news coming out today. You know, looks like Adama deal's progressing. Bergwijn's up for sale. What are your thoughts of those two potential deals?
So Adama, we've registered our interest. We've said that we're interested. We've repeated that we're interested. We may be making a move. Yes, it's firm. And this week we might be making the first approach. I mean, what kind of club does that? But listen, I'm kind of I've said all along with him. I don't think he is the right answer. But if Conte thinks he can do something with him, and then when Ben said about, which is bang on the money, which is about the amount of people that he would occupy, it will create space for other people. There's no doubt about that. So listen, if he comes in, it's in. It's not someone I would necessarily go for, but I get the argument for him. And then he said Bergwijn. Bergwijn, I don't want gone. I really think with Ben and of course the man Bob, I think there's a player there. It's just he picks up these we have too many players that pick up these niggly injuries, and when they start going and getting some real form, they just pick up a little muscle injury here or a strain there, and it plights their progress, which is frustrating.
Yeah, I know. I understand what you're saying, but if we are able to sell Bergwijn with a view of bringing someone else in, and apart from Adama, would it not be worth it? Or do you think it's worth just keeping him around and then hoping he starts producing a few numbers?
So as I said always, and people know my favourite player, and he's come in for criticism recently, and Ben and I got it horribly wrong when we went to Chelsea, is Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. I really, really like him, but I've always said the time for sentiment with players is over, and if you can get an upgrade on whatever, you upgrade. I mean, the people I don't think that are upgradable are Romero, Kane, Son, and Lloris. Apart from that, it's an open book, and if we can get genuine quality to upgrade them, then that's what we want a successful Tottenham. That's what we got to do. It's just a case of whether we do it.
Here's something that's going to get your blood boiling. According
Definitely
to
get his blood boiling.
Charlie Eccleshare, he's just written an article about Harry Kane. He said it is now likely that Tottenham will go the rest of the season without a Harry Kane backup. Looks like unlikely we're going to sign a striker in January, which is obviously not what we want to hear, is it?
Well, why should we get annoyed? We should be happy because 7 years we've needed this, and we can't see it. I mean, we're the only team in world football that do this. We have been crying out for this. Whether you're with me or against me, everyone will agree we need competition for Kane. Since he's been in serious competition. But again, no, let's not do it. Let's just let Kane play every single game, get exhausted, not be able to rest, and then he'll pick up an injury. And then we only have Son. But can we play Son? Oh, wait a minute, he's injured. This club, honestly, how can you not get a backup striker within 7 years? A serious backup striker. Seriously.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And I mean, the ones that we have brought in have all been bog standard, haven't they? All been.
Correct.
Vincent Janssen, Carlos Vinicius.
Llorente.
I'd rather have Carlos Vinicius now than nobody.
Listen, I'm gonna I didn't think Carlos Vinicius was as bad as people are making. You look, listen, he played in very, very in games that we should have won as well. But when he played, he hit the target, and that's all a striker can do. You can't. There's no way he was going to be at the levels of Kane. But when he came on, he scored goals. Whether it was against a hat-trick against Marine or a Europa League team, he came on and he scored. And that's all you want a striker to be able to do, especially if a striker is unavailable to play. I mean, if Kane picks up an injury, we are screwed.
Well, we showed that yesterday, didn't we, Brian? We showed that yesterday.
Oh, mate, I mean, exactly. I mean, but this is without even competition. The whole team, they cannot be trusted without the big guns. They cannot be trusted without the big guns, which is just, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. I mean, you could say Arsenal went out to Forest, which was lovely, but look at the team they played. Look at the team. They played a
fairly strong team. They had Saka, Odegaard, Ben White.
Okay. So, yeah, they had three. So they had three, you would say, is regular first teamers. I mean, out of that starting 11, Ben Davies, you would say, was a regular first teamer. Who else was in there?
That's about it from Spurs yesterday that were regular first teamers.
Exactly. And then look at it.
Martinelli.
I actually think Arsenal played more of a first team than us yesterday.
Well, I've spoken too much about the filth. That will come in the match day build up for that game. But yeah, it's just embarrassing. It's just embarrassing. How can it be acceptable for a club of our level to have one absolute striker? And then, as you know, I speak highly of Scarlett, but obviously I've retracted what I've said because it comes to the point where he's not ready. We can clearly see now. I thought he may have been ready, but we can clearly see he's not. But how can you just go along just saying to Kane, listen, we're going to keep you. We want to try and make you happy. We brought Conte in, but that's it. We're not going to give you any help, assistance. You're going to have to play. You're going to have to come on because this team is too under strength without you, Mora and Ollie Skip. It's embarrassing.
But what I get from it anyway is that we are going to be targeting people this window, but the striker is not at the top priority, and we're going to look for that in the summer. I mean, that's probably.
They said the article does go on to say Tottenham will address the striker issue if we're able to sell players, but if not, it's not going to be a priority.
What? Sure, that's the thing. Surely a club should operate and you need to strengthen your squad before you weaken it. That's what I don't get. We kind of did it.
We never do that.
When we wanted Fernandes, but we wanted to try and get Eriksen out the door first so we could bring him in. It's like, well, if you know Eriksen's going, and it was obviously at one point of this deal, Eriksen was going, okay, we know he's going. Here you go, Fernandes. But no, can't do that. Why should we strengthen our squad? Why should we strengthen our squad?
No, we always sell before we buy, Brian. We sell before we buy. It's how we do things.
But we can see that this method is wrong. Fundamentally wrong. And it's been happening for years. Listen, I didn't want to come on here and go mad on Levy out because, funnily enough, I'm trying to keep away from after our debate on Friday. I thought I'll give it a few more days. And we'll see where we are. And then obviously what set me off yesterday is when we saw Luca Digne could be going to Aston Villa, who is a genuine.
Why did that set you off?
Why is it? It's again, Simeon, where I think Ben, where I think I've been misunderstood. It's again Aston Villa making big moves to strengthen their team, to improve their team quick. A player comes available. There's rumours that quite a lot of teams want him, and they jump ahead, ahead and try and get the deal done. And we just sit here, not knowing what he's doing in the behalf. I mean, obviously, there's the rumours of investment. There's the rumours of asking Joe for extra transfer funds. Why is this being done in the first week of January? That's what annoys me, Simeon. I think Digne would be great at Tottenham. Set pieces, done. Quality left back.
Who would he replace, Sessegnon or Reguilon?
At the moment, I'd say Reggie. At the moment, I'd seriously say Reggie.
So if you brought him in, would you sell Reggie? Or
well,
would you have three left backs?
The other thing you got to look at with this as well is with Reggie, what you got to look at, Real Madrid could come calling at any time. And if they come and he says yes, then we're left back down immediately with nothing we can do about it. Absolutely powerless.
Spot on.
If you have a Luca Digne there, you're like, okay, off you go. If Real Madrid want you and you go back, we're covered there.
But would Luca Digne come to Spurs with 2 left backs in the squad already?
But this is the thing. Sessegnon could, if we did that, you've also got the option of putting Sessegnon up top to give Gil competition.
And aren't there more pressing places that we need to concentrate on than left back now?
Well, there is something to that. Ben, sorry, bloody hell, what is that? It's like fucking Rachel and Emily.
You're turning into Stell.
Well, listen, it comes to a point where you look at it, and when we got Reguilon in the first place, we weren't even looking for a left back, but he came available, so we got him.
Yeah.
So,
but we actually needed a left back, but they just said we weren't looking for one unless one comes available. But we actually don't actually need a left back as opposed to some other positions where we desperately need.
Yep, no, but for God's sake, I should know this by now. Ben. I agree with you wholeheartedly there, but if quality becomes available, you've got to look into it, I would imagine. I completely agree with there's other areas that need addressing, one of them being a striker, but we know what's going on there.
Yeah.
So that's what you do. How do you understand what's going on with this club? If where we do need replacements, blatantly, we say we're not going to do it, but then where we don't, we do. When we signed Hill, he wasn't a priority.
Yeah,
true.
But we signed Hill. So there's there's so many variables with this, but it all comes down to the same thing every single window.
Yeah, but I think like in terms of signing your priorities, I think it's in the summer. It's a much different window. In January, I think you really need to target where the holes are in the squad and where you need to improve. As much as I'd love Digne at the squad, I think Digne is a top quality player.
He's probably better than both our left backs.
He is probably better than both of our left backs, but I think we just need to concentrate on the holes in the squad first, to be honest.
So, Ben, fucking Ben, sorry, guys. Ben, honestly, with that part, I completely, totally, and utterly agree. Completely, hands up, totally agree. But it just doesn't look like we're even doing it. And when people say, "Oh yeah, Lissa Dharma's getting closer, mate," Ben, I've been in the studio with you all week, and I think every update has been Tottenham register interest, Tottenham confirm interest, Tottenham may make approach, Tottenham. You know he wants him. We've now missed the thing with him being cup tied, so he can't play in the FA Cup. Like you said on another caller, Ben, let's try and get him in before Arsenal. Well, at the moment, it's like, yeah, we're interested. We may do. We might register. Yes, we're interested. Do the deal.
It'll be a deadline day special.
Exactly. This is Simeon. It has got it written all over it, hasn't it? That this will drag out with this deal, which I think will get done. But just do the deal. It's blatant to everyone in the world football that we want Adama Traore and have wanted him since the summer. The deal, I think the value's half, hasn't it? Or around half. I think it was around 50. It's gone down to more than. It was around the 20 that we're led to believe. And still there's no movement. Get it done. We've got such a hard month with that added Leicester game that you want as much strength as you can to mount either a serious full spot challenge, which I think we're fall short on just because of the strength in depth at the moment. But if replacements come in, then I think we stand a good chance. But at the moment,
people talk about a top 4 not happening this year, but our competition is Arsenal, Man United. Are they in that much better shape that it's out of the question we can get there?
It's not that. I just think, as we saw yesterday with Morecambe, I don't think it's our strength in depth. I think it's the mentality of the squad. We saw yesterday the mentality of the squad, apart from the big hitters, they just don't cut the mustard. And you just kicked the radiator over like I did, Simeon, didn't you?
I do all the time.
But yeah, I just don't think we have the strength for the mentality of the squad. We can clearly see there's fundamentally a problem.
Yeah,
with
but
some of
do
these
Arsenal,
players.
Man United have the mentality?
Well, I reckon when push comes to shove, they will do. Maybe not Arsenal, Man U with the players they've got potentially. If they click into gear, they've got players with the right mentality. Arsenal are a very, very young, inexperienced squad. Very young, inexperienced when they play their first 11 in the Premier League. So I think that if there's anyone, and I'm not just saying it because of the bias and the levels of despise I have for that club, but I reckon Manchester United, if they click into gear with all the players they have, mentality-wise and trophy-winning-wise, yeah, they could click into gear. But we need to sort out this mentality problem. Dele needs to go, and Ndombele needs to be gone as quickly as they can.
Do you think he'll be gone by the end of the window, Ndombele, or do you think he'll still be here?
Do you know what? The only way I've said it all along, I only think the way we get him out is if we do it in a player exchange. I can't see anyone wanting to take a punt on him money-wise without some kind of loan with option or obligation, and we subsidise the wages. Unless we can do a straight player swap, I don't think we can get him off. But also, you look at him, his attitude, and on 200 grand a week or whatever it is, you look at people like Ben Davies, Eric, and Harry Winks, who have come in and really shown under Conte's leadership what they can do. Combined, they're nowhere near Tanguy Ndombele's wages. And they give blood, sweat, and tears. They're really trying. They may not always have a great game, but you can never doubt their commitment. And then you got this Pratt, who just strolls off the pitch like he does and just does what he wants and turns up when he wants. And it's not acceptable. It's not acceptable for our beloved Tottenham Hotspur.
It'll be so much easier to take if he had no ability, you know what I mean, if he was just rubbish. But, you know, the ability is there for everyone to see with this guy. One of the best natural abilities I've ever seen at Tottenham. And I'm not even joking there. He really does.
So, Ben, Bob and I said, and also let me just say, I can now mention his name, got a little update on it from last night. His actual dependency on the oxygen as we stands at 55. It's gone down again.
Oh, fantastic.
So, obviously, I did the update yesterday when we went live, and things are starting to look good. And yeah, the oxygen levels have gone down a bit again. But obviously, as we said in the update, it could shoot straight back up again the next day. But the last few days, he has certainly been trending in the right direction. But as we said, with Ndombele, Bob and I said as well, and this is a bold statement, that we've seen him do, Ndombele practically do things in a ball that I haven't seen since Gaza. Such is the ability on a one-on moment and a one-off piece of skill. No way comparing him to my hero. But that's, like you're saying, Ben, that's the kind of expectancy and know what we've got in his locker. If you could just unlock it, it would be, you'd be looking at a breathtaking, and I mean a breathtakingly great player, but there is just absolutely nothing there. Passion-wise, desire-wise, commitment-wise, attitude-wise, done. And that was shameful yesterday. No Tottenham player should be able to do that and get away with it. He should be out the door quicker than we can throw him.
Yeah, well, let's hope some activity starts soon. But Brian,
please God, please God.
Always great to get you on the show, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, I'll see you up in the. I'm gonna get to you for about 3:30. All right.
All right, sweet.
Nice one, Brian.
All right, boys. See you later. Look forward to
See you
seeing you,
later.
Simeon. Ben, always a pleasure. And as always, Levy out.
All right, let's keep going, and let's go to Brandon. Brandon, how's it going, man?
How we doing?
All
How's
good,
it been?
See you, Brandon. You all right?
Good, brother? How are you?
Yeah, all's been well. Sorry, I haven't been able to hop on the channel in quite some time. I've been busy. I just finished directing my first film, so we're all good.
Nice.
All's well over here.
You doing a Spurs documentary?
Yeah, that would be too much misery. Wait. That's a tearjerker nobody could handle.
Maybe you could do the Ndombele story.
Oh God.
Inside Ndombele.
Yeah, there'd be a whole bunch of nothing. It's just him sitting on the couch playing FIFA
and eating McDonald's.
Oh man, I mean the guy. He doesn't look like a footballer, does he? He kind of looks like a SoundCloud rapper. You know, he's just kind of like. I mean, the guy. He's. I'm sorry, but the guy's just not. He's not cut out for the Premier League. Not even just Spurs, just the English league in general. I mean, I don't even think he could cut it in the Italian league. You know, send the guy back to France or Spain, somewhere where you can get away with, you know, eating a few baguettes every morning and still be fine. I mean, I don't know.
He's on so much though, Brandon. How do we deal with him this month? Do we just give him away? Do we hope someone comes in for him? Do we reintegrate him somehow into the team? Is there a chance for him back? Is there a way back for him? Do you think?
I mean, would you send him to a Sevilla to maybe cut off like 10 million of a potential Koundé deal? I mean, or what about Leipzig? I mean, Nkunku out in Leipzig's been an absolute menace. I mean, I don't understand why we're not in for him. He's the exact kind of creative scoring midfielder / forward hybrid that we in the squad. And I would even pay Leipzig an extra 5 million to just take Ndombele off our hands. It's just.
But will these teams pay the wages though?
That's what I'm saying. Like I don't think that we can sell him for anywhere near. Like we were thinking in the summer. I remember people were throwing around numbers like, oh, maybe he'd go for 30, 35 mil. No way. Nobody's paying a dime to take him. You're gonna have to. I think the most viable option, unfortunately, is probably, and Levy's not gonna do this because his brain, for some reason, left him a few decades ago. The most viable option is definitely a loan, short-term loan. Maybe loan him back to France, let him go, show the world that he is still talented, and maybe fool another team into actually buying him off our hands, because he sure as heck ain't gonna do it while he's at Tottenham. He's just not gonna put forth the effort that you need to do, put forth in the English game. You just physically you can't be there. Do you guys think a loan would be remotely viable, or is it no good?
Yeah, I think a loan's probably the best bet, in my opinion. A loan with an option to buy. That's the only way we're really going to convince someone to spend any money on him. Otherwise, it's just a case of giving him away at that point. Like a lot of other teams have had to do with their big players on big wages. And that's been a big problem for not just Tottenham, but for a lot of teams having, big spent big on players, not worked out, and then not being able to recoup any fee for them because no one wants to get close at all to what that team had paid for them. And I think that's the same situation we have with Ndombele. I reckon there are some teams interested, but Levy's just probably so intent on cutting his losses as little as possible that he's not willing to go as low as other teams are wanting to go, and that's probably preventing any deal being done at this stage.
I wish the Chinese Super League was still on their spending spree. He'd be a perfect candidate. I mean, just send him off, or maybe you could send him off to the Saudi League or Qatar, something like that. I mean, seriously, it seems like he doesn't have too much ambition as a footballer. So if he's just getting a fat chunk of dough for the rest of his years, I mean, hey, kudos to him.
I do see Roma as a viable option, though. I really do. Because, the only sort of time he had any consistency at Spurs was under Jose Mourinho. He was getting to grips with life at Spurs then, and then Jose got sacked, and then he never played again, really.
Yeah, that's a funny one, isn't it? Because we had about a year-long period. I mean, during the whole quarantine thing, there was the big debacle with Jose and him, right? They had a very, very long period of being at ends with each other. But eventually, I guess Jose broke through to him, and they became best of buds. So that's great. I mean, sure. If you can get him to go to Roma for 10 million, 5 million, awesome. I'll take anything to get him out of the club, because you just can't have someone operating in the way that he has been. And when we see all these clips from Tottenham training ground, he always seems to be having a grand old time. I mean, everyone's laughing and enjoying themselves. Look at the state of our club. You should not be laughing. No, everyone's got to be straight-faced. I mean, you think it's just, if you're in the state that Ndombele has been, how could you be remotely satisfied with yourself? He just doesn't have it. He just doesn't have that mentality. I don't even want to talk about the guy anymore. He's gonna piss me off.
Well, let's talk about Steven Bergwijn then, because Romano broke last night saying that we have decided to sell him. What are your thoughts regarding Bergwijn? Do you think we should be selling him?
Let me just say that from your little hot spar with Brian, I fully see where Brian's coming from. I mean, why have we not gotten Adama over the line? If we have been chasing this guy for what? Over a year now, has to have been. How is he not dotted over the line in the first week? 2 days, 3 days into the window, get him in. We knew we needed reinforcements. We knew on the right side of the flank. I mean, that was Conte could not have come in and said, "Oh yes, Doherty is a viable option. Let me give him a month to test him out." No. Anyone with 2 eyes and a brain can tell that Doherty is not going to cut it. So why is Adama not already here, and why is this even a conversation with having to sell Steven Bergwijn, who is not a bad player by any stretch of the imagination, in order to get this Adama deal done? I mean, if you see, I don't know if you guys ever watched Tifo football. They over at the Athletic, they put together this big old graph that shows that Tottenham theoretically should have by far and away the most amount of money to spend on players in the Premier League right now.
Yeah.
By hundreds of millions, too. It's not even close. What are we doing? No. I mean, Bergwijn, here's what's going to happen. We're going to sell him to Ajax or back to a PSV, and he's going to go and light it up and then be sold on again for even more money in a couple of years. I mean, it's sad because there's a player in there. There's definitely a player in there. He just needs to get some consistency. He's been a little unlucky with injuries. I mean, it's frustrating. It's frustrating. And
do you figure, bringing Adama in, if Bergwijn goes out and Adama comes in, what would your feeling be if that was the only business we did in the attacking department?
I mean, there's no shortage of backup strikers on the market. I mean, you got Weghorst of Wolfsburg, Laborda out in Rennes, Maxi Gomez at Valencia, Onwuachu from Genk. I would even take Anderson Talisca from Al Nassr. I mean,
would you take Scamacca?
Huh?
That player in the Italian league who's really scoring a lot for Sassuolo. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Sure. Why not? Or there was that guy. I think they got relegated last year, but the dude who was like second and third in the league. But yeah. Any in an Italian league. Yeah. I mean, I would take anybody. I would take Diego Costa on a free. We need a backup striker. You cannot operate like this. Dane Scarlett's not ready for his own development. Dane Scarlett needs to be loaned out. It's simple. I mean, it really is. I mean, I don't know. It sucks, but we need to me, if for some reason, I mean, again, I think Adama is not enough for the right-hand side. As much as I like Emerson, I want to give him time. I think Levy and Paratici need to swallow their pride a little bit. So here, Serginho Dest is up for sale at Barcelona. I mean, and he suits Conte's system miles better than Emerson does. So why not maybe do a little swap? A little. I'll admit we got the wrong guy. I mean, a straight swap there probably works best for all parties involved. Emerson wanted to be at Barcelona in the first place, anyways, right? I mean. That's a possibility. Did you guys caught the Arsenal game yesterday, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yes,
of course.
Jed Spence, that man's a menace. Oh my God, we got to get him. I mean, any player that can make Martinelli and Tierney look like a soggy bag of Thin Mints is an honorary Tottenham Hotspur in my book. I mean, let me read some of these numbers off. It was crazy. I mean, you got 64 touches, 10 duels won, 4 to 5. Take-ons completed, 4 interceptions, 4 clearances, 4 fouls won, 2 tackles, 1 chance created, and 0 times dribbled a pass. I mean,
how's he done in all his other games?
What?
I mean, he made Arsenal look like the cast of Peppa Pig. Sign the man up. I don't care how he did that in the rest of his games.
To be honest, though, Brandon, the Everton defense did that a few weeks ago too.
Huh?
The Everton defense did that a few weeks ago too.
Yeah.
Sign them up.
Sign them up. They'd be better than our wingbacks, that's for sure. I mean,
bring in Seamus Coleman. Why not?
Oh man, yeah. Let's bring on your grandpa too. Why don't we?
Exactly.
I mean, yeah. It's. I don't know. Do you actually envision us making any of these signings, or is this just
Adama, I think, is going to
Oh.
happen, but after that, it's up in the air a bit.
I think we're going to make 2.
Yeah.
Who those 2 are, I think Adama will be one of them. I don't know who the other one will be, but I do think we're going to make 2.
Yeah, I mean, with it looking like Vlahovic 100% staying this window, and then probably ending up at a City or, God forbid, Arsenal in the summer. I mean, would you instead maybe just try to go for a Schick? I mean, obviously, Levy's not going to do this right now, but would you go for a Schick this window and just basically call it quits?
I love Patrick Schick this window, but we're not going to get... He's starting every week for Leverkusen and banging them in, so I don't think he's going to move anytime soon. It's going to be difficult to get a striker. We need to get a striker who's... That's always the eternal problem with getting a replacement for Kane or a backup for Kane, is that you want someone who's good enough to be in your squad, but also willing to sit on the bench. And there are not many of those strikers out there.
Yeah, I mean, do you think Conte would be willing to play a two striker system with a sort of?
He's already shown that. He's already shown that.
Yeah. I mean, then why not get like someone like a Jonathan David out from Lille?
Then what do we say if we do sign a second striker though, and say is a Jonathan David who probably demands to be starting every game? Then what do you do? How do you fit him, Kane, and Son into one team?
Throw them all up front. I mean, Kane has shown the ability to, and when he was actually working best last year, he was dropping a little deeper and almost playing like a false 9 at times, right? I mean, you could drop Kane, send 2 pacey strikers like Son and David out, have him be a little wider than smack dab in the middle. I don't, and then if you've got the wingbacks flanking them from either side, I mean, I don't see why that wouldn't work.
Yeah, potentially.
What do you think about the Eriksen rumors? Is that
him coming back?
Yeah.
I like the idea of him coming back to train. I mean, but it's all up in the air of how fit he is, if he can play again. I mean, we just don't know.
Obviously, Conte signed him for Inter, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Conte
but it took him about a year to get to grips with each other, and then when he did, he got into the team, and he was, a good asset for that team. He really was.
So if exactly, now they know each other, and now he got integrated into the team. Maybe there is something there.
There's definitely something there, but it all depends on fitness, doesn't it? And we don't know.
I don't think Eriksen's fitness is in question, is it?
Well, his condition, then let's say.
Yeah, that's the thing. He was, he was playing at the Euros at the time when it happened. It wasn't about him being unfit. It was just a unfortunate thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, but at the end of the day, the guy's had a heart condition. He had a cardiac arrest on the pitch. We don't know if he's going to be playing again.
Correct. That's the situation. But if he is able to play again, and he is,
I would 100% take him back if that's the case. 100%.
Definitely.
I think it's the right thing to do. It's just it's a trying to make a little feel good and a feel bad story, And
I think if he is ready to play as well, I think he will. I think he'll come back and play really well as well. It won't be one of those like he was in his last year at Spurs. I think he'll be so grateful for the second chance that he's getting.
Oh yeah, and he's obviously friends with the important oldies in the squad.
The majority of the squad and Conte as well.
Yeah, I 100% think we need to do that.
And not only that, he's very up to grips with the Conte system as well, which is very important.
Also, the lineups for Senegal's match against Zimbabwe just got posted, and
is he playing?
Pape Sarr hasn't even made the bench.
Oh, really?
Hasn't even made the bench. So it seems he's just kind of there to get the experience of playing at a big tournament, but he's not going to be a big part of it. So that's unfortunate. Not going to get to see him start his stuff. But, oh well.
All right.
I don't know.
Well, Brandon, always great to speak to you, my brother. And we'll speak soon.
Yeah, nice to see you all again.
See you, Brandon.
Have a nice rest of your day, fellas.
And to you, brother.
Mate.
Bye. Next up is Mohamed Raza. How's it going, man? You're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
there you go.
We can hear you now.
Perfect. Yeah.
How you doing?
I'm good. I had COVID for the past week, but
me too.
Same timeline as Sid.
Yeah, I was telling Brian
Have you
in the
guys been
chat.
hanging out with each other or something? What's going on?
I mean, I'm all the way in New York City, so it'll be a little bit hard to do. But yeah, I mean, I told Brian in the chat, just getting my FIFA skills up for the past week.
Oh yeah, how's it going?
I still lose to like 12-year-old kids on there play all day, but triangle passes, that's all the triangle formation. That's all that wins these Ultimate Team games. 99 pace players.
Yeah, mate, I
Uh,
can't handle them. I can't handle them. But let's talk about another 99 pace player in Adama Traore. He's all about pace.
96.
90, is he 96? Is he 90? Should be 99. What's your thoughts on that potential deal happening? And if Bergwijn's leaving and he comes in, is that a good thing for us, or would you be disappointed if that was the case?
It's a good deal if Bergwijn stays. I only want Bergwijn to leave if we're getting someone equally as good, if not better, than Bergwijn. Honestly, I think if Bergwijn goes to Ajax or the PSV, it'll be another Memphis Depay story where he'll go to another team, kill it there, be sold again to another club, or go to an even bigger club and will regret it. So, if I'm Conte, I tell Daniel Levy he's not for sale.
He's not for sale.
He's not for sale. I don't think, long term, I think he's worth the investment. He's 24, which isn't, it's not old by any age. I mean, he still has, their players are playing into their mid 30s and being wingers. So, he's still got 8 years. Say he gives 6 of those to Spurs. 6 years, it's not, he has to prove that he's at the level. But recently, I mean, we've been seeing levels of Bergwijn that we saw when he first came in his first few games under Mourinho. So, I think he's just one of those confidence players that he needs the manager to tell him, like, you are great. We need you to do you. Like this game is about you and scoring, so you can help us win. I think that's just. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, would your opinion be the same on Tanguy as well?
McDonald? No. No, I've been saying since last season that this guy is great for every league besides the Premier League, because the Premier League is a very fast-paced league. Even the slow players in the league, they would go to any other league and have way more stamina than all the other players. Ndombele, I think, would be great back in the French league or in La Liga or in Serie A, where the pace is a little slower. So if it's up to me, I honestly think even if you get 20 million for Ndombele, any club just get rid of him. Yeah, or even a 6-month loan with an obligation to buy, that'd be beautiful. Give a club 6 months to evaluate him, see if he's worth the wages, and if they play him, do a deal like we had with Golini and Romero. If he plays a certain number of times, you're obligated to buy him. I think that would be perfect.
And
but obviously, finding a club to do that is the hardest part.
Yeah, and do you think we will find that club from now until the end of the window?
So I've been seeing the Roma rumors, and honestly, I think Jose would be the perfect coach for him because he would take the no ketchup to a whole new level. He would dictate this man's daily routine from the time he wakes up to the time he goes to sleep. I mean, you're getting paid £200,000 a week. Like, I'm a huge Gareth Bale fan, and I make fun of him sometimes for getting paid $400,000 or $500,000, and he doesn't do what a $400,000 or $500,000 player does per pound. But you're getting paid more than Son, and Son is doing amazing. Like, you need to be like, I don't understand why he's not taking this as like a if someone's paying me £200,000 a week, I want to give them quality of £200,000. But I think he's lost the desire to play at Spurs. I think any other team he'll go to, he'll do great. But I think just cut your losses, get him off the wage list. £200,000, you could get that. There's like you get 2 quality players for that on your wage list.
True.
And in terms of Adama Traore, obviously there's a lot of talk about him coming in at the moment. I mean, are you one that is excited about this signing?
I would love it just because the pace he has. He has more, in my opinion, he has more skill on the ball than Emerson, but their finishing, both of their finishing is about the same, but just the pace that he has is just unmatched by anybody, and the aggression he has is unmatched by anybody. And if I'm Conte, I bring him in and I have him and Emerson being the 2 people on the right. Doherty, I used to love him, but now like he needs to go. I think Emerson and Traore, the 2 right wing backs, would be the perfect competition because it would force both players to get their end products to be perfect. Because I mean, if you want to play, you need to be at the Premier League level. So it's good competition. He's a good player, and back in the summer, there were talks about buying him for 40 million. And at 40 million, I don't know if he's really worth it, but for 20 million in today's market is a steal. And there's unknown players that don't have pictures on their club's websites that get sold for 20 million. You're getting you're getting someone where you know what he can do. He's proven in the Premier League for the last 3 years now, 4 years he's been at Wolves.
I swear, like players like Jordan Ibe, Dominic Solanke,
Solanke for 18 million, yeah.
And who's the other one? Iwobi, that went for more for.
Well, Iwobi went for like 40.
Yeah,
exactly. So getting Traore, if I'm Conte, it's a done deal for me. I mean, 20 million, it's a bargain. You know.
There's actually been an update. I'm not sure how reliable this guy is, Graham Bailey, but
he used to work
says,
for the Times.
Oh, is he reliable then?
Well, he's moved, but he was.
He works for 90 Min now.
He used to be reliable. He used to be tier 1.
He's a transfer correspondent for 90 Min. And he says Newcastle are now interested in Steven Bergwijn and have been alerted by his availability.
He used to be.
That'll be 60 million, please, Newcastle.
So the only way I let Bergwijn go to Newcastle is on an 18-month loan. I give him to Newcastle
for 18
months. What about a
swap deal for St. Maximin?
Sorry?
Get St. Maximin thrown in the deal somehow.
That'd be great. I mean, he's a great player, but I think that if you give him to Newcastle for a year and a half, have them develop him for a year and a half, kind of get him regular playing time, because I mean, Newcastle are the richest team in the world. They have the richest owner in the world, but I mean, they're not going to be playing Champions League football next year. They're not going to be playing Champions League football the year after. Maybe. I mean, first, you need to be in the Premier League next season. Second, you need to have a top 4 finish. It's going to take them at least 2 years. That's where you give Bergwijn 2 years to play with them, all the Premier League games, get the experience, and then bring him back after 18 months, and he'll be a killer. He'll know how to get stuff done. He's been in the Premier League for, another 18 months.
Yeah, I just think at 20, he's going to be 25 this month. I don't think we can afford to give a 2-year loan deal to him.
Yeah, that is true. Maybe maybe less. Maybe just give him a 6-month deal so he gets some regular playing time. I mean, there's 18 games left in the season. So if you could just get him playing, he just needs to get regular minutes. And I mean, now that Son's injured, this could be an opportunity for him to get regular minutes. I mean, Conte wants him to
It would be if he was also fit.
Sorry.
It would be if he was also fit, but unfortunately Bergwijn's also injured at the moment, isn't he? I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, injuries.
Yeah, exactly. But Mohammed, it's great to speak to you. Is this the first time you actually called in? No.
Second time.
Second time. Yeah, because I see
I
you in
just
the comments a lot.
I just had one more thing. Sorry.
Yeah, go for it.
Honestly, I don't think Rodon was. I could be 100% wrong, but I don't think Joe Rodon is a bad center back at all. I think that if we get rid of him, that'll be another big mistake. If he goes to a lower tier Premier League team, I think he'll absolutely crush it with them, and then he'll get sold to like a really good team, and that's another player that will regret. I just think today's game or yesterday's game, he was frustrated with Golini just because Hugo's very commanding. You'll know exactly what he does before he does it. I think Golini was very hesitant on the ball, and I think Rodon was mad that, like, you know, he didn't have a commanding goalkeeper behind him commanding the ball and telling him what to do.
Yeah, you might be right, because a few times Rodon was looking angry and frustrated. A few of when Golini was being hesitant in coming for the ball or coming out. And maybe that's why it was, because he was more angry at Golini. Maybe that he wasn't being commanding enough, and they might have a point there. He might have a case, but he still just didn't look completely comfortable. But apparently, he was playing with an injury. I was being told.
That's what I heard too. And if that is true, then it's, I don't know. I don't think that a player should be playing with an injury under any circumstance. But if it's the only way he's going to get minutes, then I guess you have to. But I just don't think that the Joe Rodon story should end here and him getting sold off to another team. I think just giving him a little bit more time. I mean, it has been 3 managers, and he still hasn't gotten game time. But he's a Wales international. I know it doesn't say much because Wales aren't as strong a side as England, but he still is an international player. He starts for them right next to Ben Davies. I think if Sanchez gets injured, if you throw him in there next to a Dyer and a Ben Davies, I think he'll be phenomenal in that system. Just because Dyer's a very commanding person in the back three, and just having Rodon to his side, telling Rodon what to do the same way he tells Sanchez what to do, I think that'd be perfect. And in a way, that could kind of teach him what he needs to do in the back line for when the time comes for Dyer to move on or retire, then Rodon can take over, which originally was the plan.
Okay,
Mohammed, thank you for calling in, my
Just
friend,
you, mate.
and
Nice to see you.
good to chat. We'll speak to you very soon.
Sounds good. Thank you for having me.
Cheers, mate.
All right. Is that no more guests? All right, that is all we have today. You've got some clips coming your way. Player ratings is going to be recorded straight after this, and probably get a Tottenham update later on in the day as well. So thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.